All right, another edition of the Krueg Show. Giants baseball has come to an end. A's Giants ends 5-2 Giants. And with us, John Lund. Woo! What's up, Jay?
Krueg. Dude.
Man,
how many of these have we done?
This is awesome. Tell them to take a siesta. You guys pipe down. What's up, man? Good to see you.
It's good to see you, man. I know we see you all the time, but God, how many post-game shows have you and I done? And man, it's crazy, man. National shows, post-game shows, pre-game shows, man. We've spent a ton of time. It's awesome to see you, man.
Yeah, man. It's seriously, you're one of my favorites, and tonight. I mean, seriously, we have no shortage tonight. Giants. How surprised are you, John, that Giants won 107 last year, and then they lost Posey, they lost Bryant, they lost Solano. They started the year with no Longoria, no Wade, no La Stella, and they're pounding the baseball. I mean, 8 more runs tonight. I think they're like second. Maybe they lead the Dodgers, but they're right atop the runs scored leaders. I mean, I don't even know what to say at this point. I'm so surprised. I guess the biggest surprise to me is just that they can score the way they have.
I think Farhan is God. I think you made a deal with the devil. I mean, you get a guy like Luis Gonzalez, and you say, okay, let's bring up Luis Gonzalez, and then he hits this Barry Bonds-esque home run against Milwaukee. Or, tonight it's Austin Slater, who it just seems like it's a different guy, and they don't have the traditional. I'll be honest with you, and I think you and I agree on this. I thought they were short a bat or two, and I wouldn't have given Chris Bryant 7 and 182. That's insanity. That's a deal that Scott Forrest put together and told Chris Bryant, who said, oh, he works for me. No, he doesn't. He said, you're going to go to the highest bid. It doesn't matter what team. I wouldn't have given Chris Bryant 7. Buster retires, and you're thinking to yourself, they're at least 2 bats short. They're way under the luxury line. What the heck are they doing? And Estrada gets off to the start that he's getting off to, and it's just the chemistry and the numbers and all these different kind of things. And I understand that guys have to execute for it to look really good. But Farhan has some kind of magic, whether it's in a computer or his brain or whatever the case may be, and they're just smarter than you. That's what it comes down to.
Oh, no, it's amazing. I mean, they're 13-5, and then even when they lose, they win. They're talking about Trevor Story, but they don't get him. And now Trevor Story's not hitting, and he got like 6 years, $140 million, and they give Jock Peterson a 1-year, prove it contract at $6 million, and Peterson's raking. What did you and Greg have to say today about Peterson's at bat last night? Wasn't that something?
I love it, and we had Sean Estes on to talk about it. Guys, they hear everything, and I don't know if I'm a proponent of somebody talks trash and it motivates you. I think you're a professional athlete, and you're probably motivated to be what you are at the plate, but it goes to show that, like you said, they gave him a 1-year, $6 million contract, and look what he's doing so far. He seems to know who to pick, the right guys. Jock Peterson has great chemistry within the clubhouse. It's just a fit. I think at some point he will find that one star where he says, okay, kind of like the Dodgers did with Mookie Betts, okay, this is the one guy we target. What happens in free agency, Krueg, this better than anybody, is that you are at mercy of the ones who are free agents. And you think, okay, it's kind of like when the lights flip on at 2:00 at the bar, and you're like, okay, here's what's left. I guess I gotta grab one of these. And so, but Farhan doesn't play that game. Farhan's like, if there's nothing I want to grab, then I'll grab somebody for a year. They're going to fit perfectly. And then when that guy comes available, we're going to get that guy. I think he will spend the money. I think there's some debate there. But the guys he picks, Carlos Rodon, I think on ESPN today, they were debating whether he was the best signing in the offseason. What did he get, 2 and 32? I mean, he just
2 and 22 per. Or he got 44 for 2.
Yeah, that's right, 2 and 44. But he gets Rodon tonight, same kind of a thing. He wasn't even overly dominant. What did he have, 38 strikeouts? He sets a record in his first few Giants starts. Rodon is a perfect signing. Jock is a perfect signing. They said Estrada was going to take strides. He has. And this is without Longoria, and this is without Tommy La Stella, and this is without it's amazing what they're doing. And you look at the parts themselves and try to compare them to the Dodgers or even the Padres, and you go, these guys aren't going to be very good. And then they just go out and win game after game after game.
I know. It's just amazing. Austin Slater hit a bomb onto the arcade.
Yep.
Tyro Estrada looks like a world beater. Wilmer Flores is,
Yeah,
rips
Flores
a
tonight.
double, hit a homer. I mean, he turned. It was a high inside pitch, and he got the hands around and rode it out to left. I mean, it's just they're fun right now. And then Elliot Ramos had a big night. I read today Ramos over the weekend, 3 hits, a home run. Today, the Giants made a trade. I guess it was a minor league trade. Kevin
Yeah, he's
Pablo.
gonna turn into the next Chris Taylor or whatever. I mean,
Exactly.
whatever. He said that dude who I've never heard of him. He's gonna be an all-star. Corey Abbott, they got from the Cubs.
Right.
What about that guy?
Cy
He's
Young.
gonna turn into yeah, right. He's gonna win Cy Young. I mean, it's
crazy.
unbelievable.
Yeah.
It's crazy.
It really is unbelievable. And then Farhan, it's like he's got this kind of unassuming, he'll laugh and he's easy to talk to. He's very affable. But it's pretty clear that he's like a couple of months ahead of everybody. It's like he's acquiring guys now that he's going to use later. He's acquiring. I mean, it's amazing. And at every one of these no-name additions, you sit there and you go, you know what? I better YouTube that guy. I better go look up that guy's stats. Why? Because in 3 weeks from now, that guy's probably going to be hitting line drives at Oracle Park, and people are going to be asking about him. So it's wild.
Here's the ultimate in Farhanness. Connor Joe is one of his few misses, right? Connor Joe was a miss because he's in left field in his opening lineup, and then you had Joe Reed or somebody like that was in right field.
Yeah,
Connor Joe, Michael Reed. It's like this guy says, it's late, but Connor Joe's hit like 330. It's just you got Connor Joe too early, but he was still really good.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm not saying he doesn't miss because he misses, but not very much. And when he hits, it's just one after the other after the other. And remember, this is before all these minor league studs are coming up. This is before he's really made – I count Chris Bryant, but I'm saying that he went into the offseason and really targeted somebody. It would have been nice to have Seiya Suzuki. I mean, he's off to a great start with Cubs. That might have been the one bat that he wishes he would have gotten, but Andrew Bagley wrote a piece about it. And essentially, him and his wife went to Chicago, and we all know what it's like with the wife, right? She loves Chicago. It reminded them of Tokyo. And so, they went to Chicago. Who's to say that he wouldn't be here? And that'd be another great signing. But they were in on the right guy. He just, as you said, he just seems to be a step ahead. They're rarely outsmarted. They make all the right moves. I don't know what's going to happen in the playoffs, but I got to be honest. I thought this was and it still could be, but I thought this was a 90-win team. They're not even complete yet. And we're already back to, and they talked about it on the broadcast tonight, we're already back to, did the Dodgers win? Did the Giants win?
No, it's amazing.
We're gonna throw the Padres in there, I think, at some point. But the Diamondbacks beat the Dodgers tonight, and it's so early in the season, but you feel like, oh, great, all right, good, It's just it looks like we're in for that again.
Oh, I know. It sets up so nicely. And then tomorrow, the Giants have an undecided starter, and I heard Dave say, they may go with Jacob Junis. And and I know if they go, he might throw 7 shutout tomorrow. I can't even really tell you who he is.
I know. Let's be honest.
It's wild.
You and I said the same thing at the beginning of the season. We talk all the time, where it was like, okay, in Farhan we trust, but you're testing us, man. Like you're not signing anybody, and there's bats out there, there's guys, and there's people who fit, and you're way under the luxury tax. What are you doing? What are you doing? What are you doing? Again, it's early and things can change and injuries can happen and all these different things, but it feels like everybody he brings up from Sacramento is great anyway. Right. He just seems to know. But what's so exciting, I think, for Giants fans in the future is these minor leaguers are going to come up and I think they're going to hit. And not just hit. I don't mean just hitters. I mean they're going to do a lot of different things and be good. And then at some point, he is going to get his Mookie Betts. He is going to sift through and find the guy that fits the Giants that is a big name guy. And boom, he's going to do that, and then imagine what the Dodgers and Giants those games are going to be like.
Oh, I know, it's going to be incredible. I mean, just give you an idea. I mean, there are teams that just spend the whole year. Who's going to pitch the 8th? Who's going to pitch the 9th? I mean, give you an example in tonight's game. Junior Marte throwing 97 miles an hour in the 8th, totally overpowering. Curvy.
Who knew that guy must? Yeah, right. I mean, come on.
They finished tonight with Marte and Castro. Rebel 444 on the text line says Marte and Castro are nasty.
Yep.
Castro's got the big overhand curve in mid 90s. Marte's, as I said, 97, whatever his out pitch is. Slider looked pretty nasty. I mean, it's just there's no end to the parade of pitching that this organization comes up with. They lose Gaussman. They're better in the rotation.
Yeah.
Their bullpen, you had a magical run last year. They're deeper and better this year. So I'm done analyzing. I'll never rip Farhan again. I swear to you, I'll never be critical of Farhan
grab this
again.
clip until the playoffs, until the next time.
Yeah,
Here's
exactly.
the thing: Marte toiled with the Royals for years, and then they get these guys, and magic happens. And for example, Rodon was great last year. He was an all-star. They told him this year to scrap the pitch. They said, "You know what? Look what teams are hitting against that pitch. We're going to make you a fastball slider guy.
Right?
Ditch this, and then he's even better." It's just they do these things where you think, why didn't that team do that? I mean, I don't know how good Marte is going to be, but the Royals need pitching. I know that. For years he toiled in their system, never made the major leagues, and this guy's throwing upper 90s and making, they just have some. And again, you put up a poll the other day. I saw it, and you asked the two GMs and you asked the two managers, Gabe and Bruce.
we were joking. Yeah, we were joking that night about how Twitter is so about recency bias. So that's what made me put it up there, because I'm like, you know what? Sabes has 3 rings, and yet I'll put up Farhan versus Sabes, and Farhan will beat Sabes because of recency bias. And sure enough.
Well, it absolutely. And everybody loves Boach, and he was at the park tonight. And so that's different. Gabe hasn't earned that yet. I mean, it's so funny, though, when you put that up, because I saw him, and it's like, well, Boach helped him win those World Series, but everything has changed now, and it's all about Farhan. And I think some people think Gabe just kind of steers the ship. I think he does a lot more than that. But it's interesting, the love that Farhan gets, but I can't help it. And I know there's a lot of other guys involved, but he's kind of the head of the snake, and so that's what we talk about. But, I mean, if you look at their lineup, even versus the Padres, if you look at their lineup versus some of the other teams in the National League, you just wouldn't think that they could do what they're doing. And at the beginning of the year, I'm thinking to myself, okay, they have one way to win. If they outpitch you, and their bullpen is great, and look, they got 2 starters on IL right now. I mean, they got, and pitching is how they beat you. But I don't know what people think of the opener anymore, but the opener works for them. The bullpen, even if Duvall makes you a little bit nervous, like he did in Milwaukee, the first few pitches were like, where are those pitches going? It's just they just every single night, and you're surprised if they don't win.
Johnny, my young producer here, Ryan, is at the game today because our one of our sponsors, Dan Coccimilgio, gave him his tickets. He now checks in from the yard before the phone goes south on him. Young Ryan, how did Coccimilgio's tickets treat you tonight?
Oh, see, they were so awesome. The unfortunate thing is, though, I was just texting Len. I wasn't paying attention to how much battery I had on my phone. So this past 20 minutes, I've been hunting around the ballpark looking for those fast chargers you can pay for. Finally got some juice. And now the club level escalator is reversed, and I don't know how to get back up to the awesome seats to show you guys. So I'm kind of down here now.
Well, now you're down there with the peasants. You're not at the club level anymore. Hey, man, say hi to the great John Lund. I don't know if you guys know each other.
What's happening,
Ryan
man?
Smith,
How are you?
John Lund.
I think we might have crossed paths once or twice in the interning days.
Yeah, I don't have a good memory, but yeah, you look familiar. I say that about a lot of people.
So our sponsor, Dan Coccimilgio's got season tickets. And he's like, hey, do you guys want to go tonight? And I'm like, man, I'm deep in my draft guide, and also I wanted to see my kid play JV ball today because they played at Northgate today. Yeah. So I went out and watched that, and then I'm tweeting about Deebo, and Ryan and his buddy went to the game. Hey, Ryan, we'll let you go, bro. Call back. Call back a little bit later on in the show.
Okay, that sounds good.
All right, Ryan, checking in.
Dude, look at that, man!
From the ballpark,
live action for the park. That's nice.
Seriously, we're probably busting copyright rules,
bro. There's serious technology on the show, man.
Seriously,
come on. ESPN's got nothing on you. We go right to the park. It's beautiful.
Yeah, last night we were playing Fleming highlights off of NBC Sports Bay Area. Wait till the donations start rolling in. Then you start to see people donating to the cause. I mean, that one's incredible. But first, before we get to that,
That's awesome.
J Hutch 91 says, Larry, did you see the A's president trying to bash the Giants and blame the attendance on
Dave
the
Cavill.
Giants? Dave Cavill went on Twitter today, ladies and gentlemen, and just lost his mind. I mean, he's like attacking. I mean, I don't even know what to say at this point. Somebody asked me, what's your take on the A's?
Time.
And I put a guy yawning. I don't really have a take on the A's at this point, but give me your thought on the implosion of Cavill on Twitter this afternoon.
First of all, he's a carnival barker. He's a clown. And every single time the Giants and A's get together at Oracle Park, this is what he does. They've done things like this in the past. I think didn't they buy board space a couple years ago? His background is earthquake soccer. He acts like he's a minor league guy. How can a guy like that rip the Giants for attendance? And by the way, I'm not going after A's fans. I'm applauding A's fans. They have finally had enough. There used to be the 10,000 that would come out there every single night. Those were the diehards. Now it's 2,000, 3,000. How many times can you punch me in the face? Dave Cavill is going to Vegas. Hey, look at us in Vegas. Look, I think it's like Major League. I think they're trying to leave. I think they're trying to make somebody else look like the bad guy. They raised ticket prices. They traded everybody, which they do all the time. I understand that. But this year it was just different. Right after the lockout, to trade both Matt, to trade Mania, they basically walk across the street in the spring training game and pitch for the other team against us. They have finally done it. And they have finally the fans have finally said, I've had enough. And I was telling my son, who's a massive A's fan before the game, I said, watch tonight. There's going to be a ton of A's fans at the game because they'll give the Giants their money, but they're done giving John Fisher their money. And I applaud every single A's fan for it because it's one thing. You want to stay on the bandwagon of your team and you want to stay loyal, but when they punch you in the face and kick you in the nuts enough times, and the A's have done that way too many times, finally even the hardcores have said that's enough. I'm not going to pay for this anymore. I'm not going to get stepped on. It's a joke. The stadium's a joke. And look, I love the players, love the A's. We both have guys who work for the A's. It's nothing against the organization. It's nothing against guys like Forrest and Billy Bean and the guys who know what they're doing. It's just John Fisher's a clown. Dave Cavill's an absolute clown. He's a joke. He's minor league. You don't do that kind of. You're walking around Oracle Park when there's 32,000 people. You're not going to get that this month at an A's game.
Oh my! You're not getting 3,200. I mean, you're totally right. By the way. There were more A's fans in the park tonight than you've seen in the Coliseum probably for the whole year. And that's because they don't want to endorse that plan any longer. They love their team. They're passionate about their team. They're as passionate about the A's as the Giants fans are about the Giants. They feel like they've been manipulated and they know this whole song and dance. And they're finally just saying, you know what? No more. And I feel bad because it's like now that they're in a weird situation. If you're one of these people that has a vote on the stadium in Oakland, why would you even continue to go down that road when it's really clear that Cavill and Fisher and the people that run that franchise are operating this year with a distinct and clear game plan, and that is to make everybody feel like there is no hope in Oakland and Vegas is the only opportunity. At the same time, they're kind of continuing this pursuit of the stadium, but I just think that ought to come to an end, and that the politicians ought to just say, look, you're not showing any real desire. You're not operating in good faith with the audience here. So we're not going any further down this road of looking into the whereabouts and trying to figure out the path to a stadium when it's really clear you're just using us as a stalking horse so that you get a sweeter deal from the municipalities and the leaders in Vegas. I just think the whole thing is
Kurt,
really
who did you know on the roster tonight? I mean, you're watching this game, Dalton Jeffries. I mean, I know who Dalton Jeffries is. I know who Tony
Murphy,
Kemp
the catcher. But, that's about
it. But noisy. He's a nice hitter. But, I mean, my God, it's just how many times can you do this as a fan? And I know it's going back to Charlie O days, and we've seen it in Donaldson, and go on down the line. I mean, it happens all the time. The biggest contract they've given out is, Eric Chavez at, $66 million. Like, I get it. But what they're doing now is despicable. Raising ticket prices, trading everybody off again, the fashion that they did it, the way that they treat the stadium, flirting with Las Vegas. I mean, seriously, it's like FaceTiming your wife as you're cheating on her. I mean, that's what Dave Cavill, the guy complaining about, attendance at his place where they get 2,000 people. And again, I don't want to make it sound like I'm complaining about A's fans. I'm not. Congratulations, smart. It's like getting served hamburger at a steakhouse and they say, hey, if you keep coming and you give us money, we'll make it better. How about it's good and then we'll come? So I'm glad that they finally had enough over there because there's no other fan base, east, west, north, south, that would stand for it. And they should. I applaud the A's fans. I just feel bad for the fans themselves because they deserve better.
Johnny, we've got our first donation of the night here. It says, Krueg, last year was a magical year, 107 wins, but this year's rotation seems stronger, and Jock Peterson is an absolute monster so far. 92 wins, maybe. Okay, all right. Well, Vegas had the over-under at 84. I quickly bet that. I bet the over on that. That was a lot.
You did. You bet the over, huh?
I bet the over 84.5. Susan Slusser came out and she was there all spring, and I really think she's smart. I like her coverage of the team, and she said 90. She said this is a 90-win team, and she knows the difference. And so I just kind of went with her notion of this is a 90-win team, and it was really hard to see it. I'm like, I'll just trust her, but I don't see it on paper. But after watching just the first month, and knowing how rich this team is, as far as they've got money if they want to take on payroll, they've got prospects if they want to make a trade. The Giants can do kind of whatever they want to do here. They're really well positioned. I feel pretty good. I mean, Joey Bart. I mean, the other thing about the Giants' hot start today was game 18. They were what are they now? 13 and 5. 13 and 5 through 18. Joey Bart's not hitting. They don't have 3 or 4 key hitters. Crawford's not off to a hot start. I mean, outside of Jock Peterson, there's nobody who's really hitting. So I get reason to believe that they'll figure it out. You know what I mean? That they'll find a couple bats, and maybe they've got enough pitching as is, especially with the other lefty Boyd, who they picked up and who's not going to be ready till the middle of the year, Matthew Boyd. And that's a pretty nice little pickup right there, just kind of waiting on the sideline middle of the year. So I just think, somebody had in here that the Giants in the last, let's see if I can find it here. This is a pretty good little stat. It was like Giants in the last 120 games or like 80.
I think somebody said, 180, 126 and 6, or 120 and 60 in the last 180.
Yeah, here it is. Yeah. Giants are 120 and 60 in the last 180 games. 120 and 60? I mean, I'm shocked. I really am shocked because when you talk sports and you're all in this for and you do this for years and years, after a while you're like I think I know what the hell's going on. I think I know what's going on, and then you look at this team and you're like, wait a second. They're greater than the sum of their parts. And I don't know how they're doing it. And I really thought maybe last year they did catch lightning in a bottle, John, but then no Posey, and they look like they've just picked up and right where they left off. I just don't know what to say about it. I want to say it's accidental and they're going to fall to earth because that seems kind of likely. But when you know how competitive Gabe is, and how competitive Farhan is, and then the kinds of moves that these guys will make. Luis Gonzalez. I mean, Luis Gonzalez, I think, is legit. I don't think he's like a flash in the pan. I like his swing. I think he's here to stay. So I mean, it's moves like that on the on the edges, on the margins, that they just make these moves time and time again. You look up and you're like, wow. So I wouldn't be shocked if they win 90, 95 games this year. I think over is a lock.
And you know what it is? And we get so enamored because what happens is we are in a fantasy sports kind of a thought. So it's the best players and the big name players, and that's all you got to have. And look, I'm guilty of it all the time. But what these guys understand, and why I think Farhan's ahead of it, there's a handful of teams, and whether people want to admit it or not, it's the Dodgers, it's the Giants, the A's, when they have, they know how to get the personnel. It's just they're forced by their ownership to do. But there's a handful of teams in this league that can do this. And what they do is they identify not what they don't want, but what they do want. So everybody focuses on, well, this guy's not 5 tool. He can't do this and this. The Giants don't ask you to do this and this. They ask you to do the things that you do well. And again, it's Rodon, scrap this pitch. When they got Gosman, look what guys are doing on this pitch, scrap that pitch. It's real basic stuff. But the Giants are better prepared than anybody else. They prepare their players. They put them in a position to win. I mean, look, here's the amazing part. You just said this. They're 13-5. Darren Ruff, I think, is being overexposed. I think that we could say that Darren Ruff, I think, is a guy that, look, at age 35, okay, they expected that out of it. Doesn't look like he's going to do that. There's a handful of injuries. We haven't even seen Longoria. We haven't seen late night Lamont. We haven't seen Tommy LaStella. They're still to come. Can Brandon Belt stay healthy? Crawford's not expected to do what he did, but they fortified the pitching, and Alex Cobb's injury doesn't look too bad. So they're going to fortify the pitching, and Cobb's good. You bring in Rodon. I'm not sure what DeSclafani is going to be, if there's a weak link right there, DeSclafani. But could Jelly come up from Sacramento? I don't know what he's done lately, but in the first couple of starts, what do you have, a 1.28 ERA? I just have a ton of faith in the fact that at the major league level, they put these guys in a position to succeed. And at the minor league level, they still have a move they could make with Ramos. And Farhan told me the other day that they're not going to bring him up. You and I are on the same page on this. We both were bitching and moaning about this. You're going to bring the kid up. You're going to bring the kid up. He's got to play. If he's not going to play, then keep him in Sacramento.
Yeah.
So Farhan told me the other day that, he's not coming back up to do that. We wanted to give him a cup of coffee. Now he knows what to expect. But when he comes up the next time, he's coming up for real. So, they've got already things fortified. And then you hit it right on the head. He will, if they're in it, and they should be, in July, then he's going to get another Chris Bryant. Who's to say that he's not going to keep him long term? Their bullpen solid. Their starting pitching right now is with the Mets is around the best in the National League, and they're going to fortify guys until they have to make a move. They think that they can churn guys through Sacramento. It's the same exact thing they did last year. It's just like you said, they don't have Buster Posey, and I just thought that was going to be a bigger loss. But so far, 18 games, it really hasn't been.
It's amazing, really. Romo 2001 is donating. He says, Larry and John, are you worried the bullpen will get worn out with Alex Cobb and DeSclafani on the injured list and continue throwing bullpen games? Need someone or two someones tomorrow to eat innings. I was just saying, Romo 2001 to John about Junis. I mean, I heard Dave say Jacob Junis is probably going to get some significant innings, whether he's the opener or starter, whether they open with somebody else. It sounds like Junis may be the bulk innings guy tomorrow. And he threw 6 shutout last time, and I think walked nobody and struck out 6 or 7. So I do kind of worry about the bullpen. It is kind of a weird thing, though, John. This is another one, another little trend that Farhan is doing that I think I could see teams copying. You can't load up on the Giant pen because you don't know what inning you're getting which reliever. We're 2-3 weeks into the year. They've already shown they'll close with Alvarez. They'll close with Doval. They'll close with McGee. They'll close with Rogers. They'll literally close with almost anybody down there. And they just use everybody in a different role depending on the matchups in the game and lefties and righties and that kind of thing. I kind of think that the more I watch it, I mean, I've always been from the mindset you need a closer, and if you don't have a closer, then you're just it's makeshift, and that's not desirable. But now watching them and the way their bullpen has been, it was the best last year, and it's among the best this year. It's been one of the major reasons they're off to this hot start, and they don't really have a closer. Where LA is trading for Kimbrel at the end of spring training because they wanted to have the quote unquote closer. Gabe seems totally comfortable. Farhan seems totally comfortable. We'll play matchup games. We won't worry about it. We'll give some to Duval, McGee, whatever. We'll just kind of cobble it together. Is that the future, you think, John, in the pen? Cobble it together, looking for individual matchup advantages?
Yeah, I mean, that's what they're always going to do. I mean, I think if it comes down to it, just like I think McGee was it last year when it really came down to it. But Duval is the guy, and he might scare the hell out of you, like he did the other night and with the Brewers, the first 3-4 pitches, and then he can kind of get it under control. But they probably want him to do it. But the reality is, like you said, the reason why, and you go back to the question, I think it was Romo 2001 that asked it, is that they've got an incredibly deep bullpen, and they've got other guys at AAA. And then they, nowadays they have an odometer on a guy. And I guarantee the Giants watch the odometer. They're not going to overuse a guy. And if they are, then they'll do it down the stretch. They'll do it in the playoffs, whatever. That's what we saw last year. But you're not going to see guys pitch, 3 consecutive days. You're not going to see guys get overused. They're watching these guys like ever before. And, the reality is, and you and I debate this all the time, there's as many arm injuries as there always has been, and they're watching it closer than they've ever watched it.
Yeah.
Look, we saw Castro tonight. We saw Marte. They're going to bring guys up. If a guy is in this organization, Corey Abbott, who they just got from the Cubs, if they put a guy on the 40-man, or if they put a guy at Sacramento, they put a guy in a position to join the team at some point during the season, he will be used. That's just what the Giants do. They don't just have a guy on there, hey, we got to fill a AAA spot. Farhan, I think it just sits up at night thinking, when will we use this guy? Like, they have almost an unlimited amount of players, because he's Luis Gonzalez, he will have a spot, boom, home run. It's just they have a reason why every guy is on the roster.
All right, we've gone a half hour talking Giants. I got to get your thoughts on the big Niners story of the day. We got to get your thoughts on the Warriors. One more comment here from Jay Hutch. She says, whatever is the better matchup at the time is the way the Giants are going to go. And it's working, all caps, very well. There's no denying that, man. No denying that. Whatever they're doing, it's funny when when Townsend, I remember our buddy Chris Townsend, who's Mr. A, when he was doing sales, he used to say to people, hey, go up to hey, whatever you're doing, you just keep doing it because you're looking great. And I'd be like, dude, that is the best line of all time. And he used to get away with it. And I'd be like, Townie, but yeah, whatever the Giants are doing, just keep doing it because it is working, and make somebody stop you. All right, let's get into the Deebo thing and the Lynch presser. One of my scouting buddies that I've known for years and years is Tony Pauline. Tony Pauline's an NFL scout. He went on YouTube this afternoon and basically said that the Jets are preparing to make a Godfather trade offer to the 49ers and John Lynch for Deebo Samuel. We've seen this kind of story go back and forth all really for a couple weeks now. Where are you on this story? What's real? What's not real? What do you think is going to happen? You guys will be live in the war room or across from the war room on draft night on Thursday night. What are you expecting on Thursday night? I mean, John, on paper, it looked like it was going to be a real snooze fest of a Thursday night, maybe just a little catered dinner and some pats on the back. Instead, you guys might have to actually work.
First of all, it ain't going to be the same. I don't care, man. Nobody does the draft like you. I mean, nobody. So when we get into the middle rounds, I don't know what I'm going to do because I have never done a draft show in the Bay Area without you. And we have a great time. We're sitting there for hours, and they bring the steaks in, and we're trying to hear what they're saying in the next room. But nobody does the draft like you. So it's just, there is no even debate about it. You're incredible.
Well, I appreciate that, brother. I appreciate it.
I mean, that's just a fact. Second of all, I think he's getting traded. You said, you had a buddy who talked about it. Absolutely. You had a buddy talk about it. Daniel Jeremiah talked about it. I've talked to a couple of people. You and I were texting yesterday. This is different. Raheem Mostert wanted to get traded. Robbie Gould wanted to get traded. This is a different deal. I don't know how you feel about this, but one of the things I think is there are value positions, and I'm not saying that the value of the receiver position hasn't gone up or that Deebo Samuel isn't incredibly important. But if the Jets or somebody else, the Jets, for example, I think there's so many unique things here. Let's just take the Jets, for example. Robert Saleh's there. Obviously, they know him. They know the offense. They have picks 4, 10, 35, 38, 69 as a third rounder. They got the extra picks from Seattle. And you know this better than I do. When teams have those extra picks in the first and second round, they treat them kind of like, hey, this is kind of bonus money. Even though, for example, the Jamal Adams trade got them those extra picks. I mean, that was just stealing from Seattle.
Oh, absolutely.
But if they're going to offer that kind of a thing, and everybody thinks, okay, well then they got to go get a receiver. No, they don't. Really deep receiver draft. They need a pass rusher opposite Nick Bosa. They need another corner still to me. They need to replace Jaquiski Tart. They need a safety. They need interior offensive line. One thing that has kind of gone unnoticed because we talked so much about Deebo, Alex Mack's retiring. Yeah. And John Lynch basically said that he's going to make the announcement. Well, he's not going to announce that he's coming back. He's
Right.
announcing that he's going to retire. So all of a sudden, what, you're going to have a rookie center with a rookie quarterback? I mean, look, they've got a lot of work to do. And I think that they've got to look at this thing. And if a guy really doesn't want to be here, I don't care the reason why he doesn't want to be here. It's the era of player empowerment. And Greg talks about this all the time. He's an Al Davis disciple. Al Davis would say, sorry, you're going to sit, you're going to rot. And then we've got your
Marcus
rights, and
Allen.
we can franchise you. We'll make you miserable for the next 2 or 3 years. That's not the best way to do it anymore. And you've got to get playmakers around Trey Lance. And you have a lot of things that you have to do. So if Deebo Samuel is stomping his feet and saying he doesn't want to be here, and there are teams, and here's the other thing, I want to ask you this question. Okay, Kansas City and Green Bay, 2 really good franchises, decided that it wasn't worth it to pay their star wide receivers. And they got traded to the Raiders, who haven't been very good, and the Dolphins, who haven't been very good. And if the Niners trade Deebo to the Jets, then the smart team is the 49ers and the dumb team is the Jets. I'm saying traditionally. So that would be the third team that says, you know what, the position is valuable. I'm not saying it's not. But quarterback's more valuable, left tackle is more valuable, corner is more valuable. I mean, we can go on down the line. And when I say more valuable, I just mean it's harder to find. It's supply and demand. It's hard to find quarterbacks. It's hard to find sticky corners. It's hard to find Trent Williams. It's hard to find Nick Bosa's. There are how many receivers, Krueg? I'll go to you on this one. You can find receivers in the 2nd, 3rd, 4th, 5th round. There are probably, to me, what is there, 15 or 20 impact wide receivers in this draft potentially?
There's a lot of good ones.
There's not one quarterback. There's 2 corners. There's 3 tackles. Like, my point is, there's going to be other guys, but what I'm saying is Deebo's valuable. But the most important guy on the 49ers offense is Kyle Shanahan. And if Deebo Samuel leaves, Kyle will find another way to score points.
So many people, it's amazing how we can all watch the same presser, and yet the takeaways were so dramatically different. I watched that presser, and I immediately thought, he's gone. He's traded. Why? Because John Lynch said, I don't want to talk about it. Then he went and basically came out and said a bunch of things. John Lynch is not enjoying this whole dialogue about Deebo. If he was going to stay, he would have just said, guys, I know this is a salacious topic, and I know you guys have a lot of blogs and channels and ratings and, views, and everybody's looking for attention. I get it, but there's no story here. We're not trading this player.
He would have went Steve Keim. He would have went Steve Keim and Kyler. The general manager of the Cardinals said, we are not trading Kyler Murray.
And it ended right there.
On the head. It was the tone of his voice. It was the fact that he didn't want it. You know what the biggest giveaway, though, was? And you and I know this because we talked to him about it personally. Kyle Shanahan wasn't there. Why wasn't Kyle Shanahan there? Because Kyle Shanahan has told both of us that he is the world's worst liar. Kyle has said that to us before. He said that at his opening press conference when he got hired in 2017. I am a bad liar. So when is it easier to lie? Well, then when there's one of you and there's one message. When I heard that Kyle Shanahan wasn't going to the press conference, then I heard John, the way he acted and how down he was, and and the fact that he couldn't, in good conscience, say we are not trading him. I knew right away they were trading him because Kyle can't lie. He's told us that. And you don't want 2 guys up there trying to say that the same thing but saying it differently, and then everybody reading into it. It's such a big story. And I give John a ton of credit because he's such a nice guy, and you know him really well. That he didn't, he said, I'm not going to talk about it. And then he took 10 questions on it because that's the kind of guy he is.
Right. But I mean, it was really clear that they are going to move him, and this is what you say when you want a monumental deal. Now, Tony Pauline says the Jets are preparing a Godfather-like deal for the 49ers. Now, if people are saying, what is a Godfather-like deal? If you didn't see the movie, it's a deal you cannot refuse.
It's an offer you can't refuse.
Yeah, exactly. It's an offer you're not gonna. You're gonna. John Lynch is gonna have a horse head. He's gonna wake up with a horse head in his bed.
Yeah.
But let's think about this for a second. What potentially? I mean, without just getting crazy, within reason. I mean, you know these trades, and the league. I mean, I've been maintaining on YouTube for the last couple of weeks that Deebo is worth more than Tyreek Hill because Tyreek Hill had off-field problems. Deebo's a great guy. Deebo's also the player that every team in the league now wants So he's like the chic player. How often does the trendy chic player that everybody wants actually become available?
By the way, that's another reason to trade him. That's another reason to trade him. It's just
another reason.
If he doesn't want to, and again, look, I don't want to trade him.
I don't.
But what I'm saying is they're going to trade him.
Right.
And as we keep looking at reasons why they're going to trade him, you trade a stock when he's high. And if he doesn't want to be here and he doesn't want to take your $25 million, then his stock is as high as it's ever going to be. Another thing that people don't ever think about is whatever they can get, and we'll continue this conversation, obviously, whatever they can get from the Jets or whatever team, remember, you're also saving the $25 million you would have paid him, and you're going to go ahead and slide that over to Nick Bosa, who you're going to keep. And by the way, if Nick Bosa's pulling this same stuff, which he won't, but if he was, I would come out and say I'm not trading him, and I would franchise him because he's that valuable. To me, Deebo's not as valuable as Nick Bosa, and it's not even close. But you're also saving the $25 million. So now you get what the Jets will give you or whatever team, but let's hypothetically say whatever the Jets give you, but let's put on top of this treasure chest as well that you're not having to pay Deebo $25 million. So now whatever's left of the scraps, okay, so the draft's going to happen, and then there's going to be other guys let go. You can pick those guys up. It's another reason why I have never believed for 1 second, no matter how adamantly they said it, that Jimmy Garoppolo's $25 million or $27 million now is not affecting things, because it is. Because when you have money, you can spend it. So let's throw into the treasure chest of what the Jets could give up another $25 million that the 49ers can actually spend.
Yeah. So there's a lot of talk, a lot of conjecture. Now it's all conjecture. Jets have the 4th pick and the 10th pick. There's a lot of conjecture that the Jets really love the offensive tackles. The NC State kid is an awesome run blocker. The Mississippi State kid Cross is an awesome pass blocker. And the Alabama guy might be better than both, right? He's got some weight issues, but he's special. So you got some really special offensive tackles all sitting right there. Talk is the Jets are going to take one of those offensive tackles and that they're willing to move off of Mekhi Becton. Now, what do you think of Becton, John? And what – I mean, I'm thinking that this Godfather deal may be 10, both second-round picks, and Becton. And to me, that right there would be a Godfather-sized deal because Becton was a first-round pick. And, 3 picks in the top 38 is a high price to pay. But there's also speculation about Elijah Moore. Who knows? I mean, the Jets also have the 4th pick. I can't believe they would trade that, but who knows? Would they trade next year's number 1? I do think the 49ers are uniquely positioned to get a haul. And I talked about this in a video that I did. The Jets are the ones. I mean, Joe Douglas is literally fired at the end of the year. He's like 6-27 in his tenure there. This is offseason number 3. He's been talking all off season about we need to make an impact move. They chased Tyreek. They didn't get him. I just think that the Jets, who were 3-14 last year and have the longest playoff drought currently in the entire NFL, in New York City in a 2-team market with the competition and the tabloids, I think it's go time for Joe Douglas. And I think there's some urgency on his end that may give John Lynch an opportunity to kind of slide in there and make an incredible deal. But what do you think of Becton as part of the deal? Maybe you'd play him at right tackle if McGlinchey can't go, or maybe play him at guard. I mean, we're talking about one of the biggest, most dominant physical offensive linemen in the entire league. I don't know if he's healthy, but he's huge.
Yeah, look, I've watched some Jets football. I don't claim to be, and I watched Becton obviously in college, and he had a great combine, and he's a really big guy, and you know more about him than I do, but maybe you could slide him inside the guard, and then if McGlinchey leaves after the season, again, remember, this team's up against the salary cap. Now, Jimmy leaving, and he is going to leave at some point, is going to help. If they don't have to re-sign Deebo, obviously that's going to help. But, maybe you slide him into guard because, look, they need interior line help on this team. They're going to need a center on this team too. And do you trust Aaron Banks? I don't. No. Do you want
they maintain they
the other guard? I mean, yeah, and that's what you say. I mean, I'll give the 49ers a ton of credit. And I thought this is exactly what John Lynch was going to say about Deebo. You've got to maintain leverage on players. I think people forget that. And what I mean by leverage is, why would you rip a guy? It just hurts his trade value. So if you say that Aaron Banks stinks, well, then any kind of value he has is gone. If you say that Jimmy Garoppolo's got warts, then any kind of trade value he has goes down. you always maintain. You always say your guy's the greatest guy ever, and then when he leaves, you can say whatever you want, but you maintain leverage on your guy because Deebo Samuel, for example, is hurting the 49ers leverage in a trade situation because he's demanding to be traded publicly. Could have done it behind the scenes and helped out the team. And then John Lynch has to come in and say, look, you don't trade a guy like that. He basically says we don't want to trade him, but we knew by his body language that they were going to trade him. But you have to maintain leverage on a certain player. But let's go back to your original question. I'm rambling. Becton's fine. Becton's fine. I have no issue. I think that you mentioned this earlier in a tweet that I saw today. I'd rather have Quinnen Williams because I don't believe in Javon Kinlaw yet. He just hasn't proven it. Quinnen Williams has. You want to throw in Quinnen Williams in a deal and you want to give me like 10 or 38 or something like that? I'd like a proven guy. I mean, look, this is why Deebo has value because you've just pointed out the Jets are desperate. They haven't won. They're not patient in that market. Robert Saleh this is only going to be his second season. He's already on the hot seat. Joe Douglas is squarely on the hot seat. So what do you want to do if you're on the hot seat? You want proven players. Zach Wilson, I don't know, but if you have a young quarterback, what do you want to do? Well, you want to get him an offensive tackle at 4, and then you want to get him a proven commodity, possibly at 10. Well, Jameson Williams, or you don't get anybody you want. Right, Garrett Wilson. I mean, any of those guys that you like amongst the wide receivers that people will talk about, Burks, any of these guys, they're not proven commodities. And a lot of times it takes a wide receiver, even if you're going to be great. Not everybody's Jamar Chase when they come in the league or Justin Jefferson.
Totally.
It takes them a little while. It's an intricate position. So let's say they get one of those guys. If he isn't a star right away, those guys aren't going to be around to see it anyway. So that's why you go out and you get Deebo. And what might be good for the 49ers to get some talent that is cheap when you're up against the cap like they are, and then revamp the offense. The Jets need guys who can do it now. So when the so-called experts will say, well, guy, you can't give up 10, 35, and 38. Well, you can if you're not going to be around anyway. If these guys aren't any good that you draft next year when you're unemployed, those picks aren't yours anyway.
Yeah, no, seriously. It's funny that before we read the guy who's donating here, well, this one's pretty good. Balky's still screwing the Niners years later. I like
Classic.
my linebackers. Remember that?
Oh,
kid?
you got to.
Hey,
you and I, right? We went down there.
Your best linebackers, Gerald Hodges.
Yeah.
How do you feel about your linebackers? We really like our linebackers. We think we got a great group of guys. That's like too much.
You're balky and solid. No, we did. What you're talking about is you and I went down to training camp one year, and they were just they were horrendous. I mean, they're in that for a few years after Harbaugh left, and Aaron Lynch comes in and he's bigger than a house. And
Aaron
and
Lynch was
Gerald
like 3
Hodges,
bills.
Yeah, it was unbelievable. His wife got pregnant and so did he.
Right,
and
exactly.
and then Gerald Hodges is his best linebacker. So we huddled around him on the first day of camp. We had our mic in his face, and you asked him what he thought of his linebackers, and he's like, singing the praises of Gerald Hodges and saying that Aaron Lynch is coming in great shape. Meanwhile, Aaron Lynch walks by us and literally blocks out the sun. We're like, dude, just stop it.
Who's that backup offensive guard? Oh no, that's your edge rusher.
Yeah,
oh my god,
good.
That was
like
unbelievable.
25. Unbelievable.
We've got this donation. Man. Krueg, get 10, 35, 38. Move back from 16. Get extra second. Get Zion Johnson, who's a big guard out of Boston College. Mm-hmm. Like plug him in at right guard. Move Brunskill to center. Then trade 38 and 61. Move up to 25. Get an edge like Jermaine Johnson. I
don't know if he'll be around.
He won't be there at 65.
No, he's
good. At 35.
But cool. I mean, I like aggressive people like that, though, right? I mean, I like somebody that's thinking we're dorks in the draft, so I like that you know those names, exactly, you know those picks, and I think that's awesome because we all do that. Look, I don't know what a Godfather offer is. If they were already, my hunch says this. If they offered 10, 35, and 38, you'd already done it. Now, most times, this didn't happen with Trey Lance, but it happened early because you wanted to go out and you wanted to, in public view, be able to scout these quarterbacks. So that's why they did it. Most times when a trade of this magnitude happens, it happens on draft day. Because what happens is you want to wait to see who's on the board if you're the Niners. And if you're the Jets, you want to see if there's any other things out there. I don't know that DK Metcalf's not going to be moved. I mean, a week before Pete Carroll said they weren't moving, and Russell Wilson at the combine, they traded him to Denver. This is lying season. Nobody's telling the truth right now. Seattle's saying they're not trading DK. Maybe they are. Maybe that's who the Jets go after. I mean, if they're going to push and give a godfather offer, I think they'd want Deebo more than anybody else. Like you said, he's the flavor of the month. But if they can't get him, do you think they'll move quick and go back to Seattle, who they already ripped off, and say, hey, you want your 10th pick back that you gave us for Jamal Adams? Here, we'll take DK for that deal. I mean, how bad? I think that Softy up in Seattle said, he didn't want to do that deal because it would mean that basically Jamal Adams cost him DK and a first-round pick. I mean, could you imagine that trade? They just get their pick back is all they get. So, look, if there's a Godfather offer out there, and it's what that tweet just said there, that question just said there, of 10, 35, 38, more picks, I have a hunch something that you said, though, because remember, the 49ers are in a championship window. They don't want 5 or 6 rookies and cross their fingers that they can be impact right away. The Jets aren't great, but they do have some players. Like you said, Moore's a really nice receiver. Becton may have fallen out of favor, but obviously the guy was a top 5 pick. He's a mountain of a man. He could potentially be a right tackle down the line if you don't want to give McGlinchey all that money. I would think that the 49ers would want a combination of those picks so they can get some cheap labor in here and lower down that number, which they're going to do when they let Jimmy go and have Trey start, but also get a proven commodity or two that they can plug in there, because you don't want everything to be a pick when you're a team that's in a championship window. Ask the Rams who traded them for players. You want to get known commodities as much as you can.
It's funny. This guy's J Boogie 510 says Deebo, Kinlaw for Quinnen Williams in the first-round pick. I don't know how they feel about Kinlaw, but Kinlaw's, got kind of a bum knee. Is he healthy? I would definitely.
Is he? I don't know if he's tradable. Is he, Krueg?
Yeah, probably. I mean, he. I can't imagine you'd get value at this point for Kinlaw. I think he's got to kind of show in July. And now you might be able to trade Kinlaw once he proves the knee's healthy, but I don't know about that. It's so interesting. Let's just say I heard from one guy say today that the 49ers want to make this trade. They don't want to make it till draft day because they want to see that there's one certain player on the board at 10. And I don't know who that player is. And I was going to ask you what you think. I'm thinking it's either Garrett Wilson, the wide receiver from Ohio State. I really don't like Drake London, the SC receiver, because I just don't think he separates and from, even Pac-12 corners. And I've questioned. To me, he looks like a possession receiver. Didn't run a great 40 time. He was hurt a little bit. He's got great ball skills, but I don't like Drake London. I like either Garrett Wilson or maybe Jermaine Johnson, the second from Florida State, ACC Defensive Player of the Year.
I like him a lot.
What rings in my ear, John, is that the way John and Kyle see the Niners is that they want to do to opponents what the Rams did to them in the NFC Championship game. Get a lead and then just put so much heat off the edge on the opposing quarterbacks that it doesn't really matter who's playing in the secondary. They're a rush and cover philosophy, with the rush being the priority. I just think that if you could line up Bosa and you got a guy as productive as Jermaine Johnson the second, and you can have him flying off the edge, man, that might be where you start. And then if you get those second round picks, maybe you draft a Kenneth Walker, maybe you get Christian Watson, who was Trey's receiver at North Dakota State, who was awesome at the combine. A lot of speed. Maybe you say, you know what? No, Trey is not like Jimmy. Jimmy needed the dump off guy underneath. Trey needs a guy who's going to pluck the ball with his hands. Maybe you take Jahan Dotson from Penn State, who's got incredible ball skills, and Kenneth Walker. I'm just saying, I think if you ask me, who are the Niners hoping is there at 10? I think it's Jermaine Johnson.
I think that's a great call. I love Jermaine Johnson, by the way, and I watched the whole breakdown by our good friend Greg Cosell, and he loves him, so I love him. I mean, that's basically
Greg loves him. He went on with Ross Tucker, and he loves him.
So, but I'm with you. We got to think here logically, because a lot of people think that if they trade Deebo, then they're trading for one of these receivers. Well, how have the 49ers been successful? I mean, I'm not saying that Deebo hasn't helped make them successful, but they're smash mouth. They want to punch you in the mouth. They want to run the ball right at you. Deebo was a physical runner and receiver, getting extra yards. Defensively, what do? When did they dominate? When did they go to the Super Bowl, or last year? They got after the passer. Well, they don't have a guy right now opposite Nick Bosa. That is screaming out to me. They got Ward from Kansas City, so they feel like they've gotten their corner. I mean, I could see at 10 them wanting to make a move and I don't think these guys are going to be there, but what if Stingley slipped? What if Thibodeau, what if Tibbs from Oregon slipped? I mean, he would be perfect to me. Those two guys would almost be illegal. I don't think he's going to slip that far.
No,
In fact, I think if he slipped that to that point, Seattle would take him at 9. But what if Hamilton, the safety from Notre Dame, slipped? I mean, they need a safety now. He's different, but he's kind of a hybrid guy. All I'm saying is that if people think it's just going to be a receiver, well, what kind of receiver does he like? Well, he's not going to. I don't think he's going to take Jamison Williams from Alabama.
No.
He's too slight. He's fast.
And also, he may not play this year. You can't trade Deebo and get a receiver that doesn't play for a year.
But those guys aren't receivers that are going to be in Kyle's mode, which is, look, you've got to block. We talked about this, you and I, last year. How come Ayuk wasn't playing? Because he wasn't in the right spot all the time, because he wasn't playing with effort, because he wasn't blocking, because he wasn't efforting, because he wasn't giving it all on all reps in practice. There's a way Kyle Shanahan, because he's a former wide receiver, is harder on wide receivers than any other position. And you play it one way or the highway. That's really the only position where he's that way. I mean, he's intense on all positions. But if you're going to be a wide receiver, and this is maybe one of the reasons why Deebo's leaving too, is that he's not easy on wide receivers. So there's a certain receiver that he's going to take. I don't know who that receiver is, but you got to be tough. You got to be team-oriented. You got to be hardworking. You got to be all those things. It's one of the reasons why he didn't take a Jerry Jeudy. He took a Brandon Ayuk. He takes a certain kind of receiver. But back to you at number 10. If Jermaine Johnson was on the board from Florida State at 10, they would run the pickup there, and then him and Bosa opposite each other, and you hope that Kinlaw comes through, and now you got Armstead. All of a sudden, you got that line that's going to make your corners better, and it's not the only reason. But when people say, well, Jimmy got him to the Super Bowl. No, he didn't. The defensive line got him to the Super Bowl. Yeah. That's what they need to recreate. And Ebukam or anybody else, they let Arden Key go. They are really short when it comes to guys who can get after the quarterback.
Yeah, and you can never have it's like pitching in baseball. If you run out of pass rush, you can't move the quarterback off the spot. You just can't win. So
that's how they lost to the Rams. They could not get to Stafford. And I know Cooper Kupp is great, but you look at this division now. Seattle doesn't have Wilson anymore, but they have elite wide receivers. And the Cardinals have elite wide receivers, and the Rams obviously have elite wide receivers, and they may bring Beckham back when he gets healthy. So you've got to get to, look, now that the Rams have a chance, you got to beat the Rams. So how you gonna get to Matthew Stafford? Right now, they're woefully short in that area, and Stafford against the 49ers, as we sit today, could sit back there and pick them apart to Cooper Kupp and to the Bears wide receiver that they just picked up. I mean, they could do that all day long, because the 49ers do not have enough pass rush depth. And while we talk about interior offensive line, and we can talk about the receiver position if they move Deebo, Kyle's going to find a way offensively to put points on the board. It's going to be different without Deebo. If indeed they do that, it's going to be more traditional. Look, Trey Lance is coming in. People aren't talking about that. They're going to run the ball, but they're going to run it with Trey Lance. I mean, I'm sure you heard this. George Kittle, they were on I Am Athlete with Brandon Marshall. You had George Kittle and you had Mohamed Sanu on there. They were saying the offense is going to be completely different with Trey Lance. So that's maybe one of the reasons they can trade Deebo, because they're going to have a non-traditional running game anyway, because Trey Lance can do a lot of the things I think that Deebo can do.
And it's funny, and a lot of people are going to be like, maybe not go with me on this one, but there's an awful lot of people playing the blame game. Okay, I get it. It's media and hot takes and everybody, I get it. We all get it. But I don't know that there's a blame person here. I think this is a situational thing, John. I think when Trent Baalke paid Christian Kirk that absurd amount of money, that exploded the wide receiver market. Then it further exploded with the Tyreek and the Devontae, and now you're looking at, I just think, to me, I've been saying this is going to be a trade for weeks, and the reason for it is because it's a clear impasse. There's not like, well, we'll get on the same page. It's not about that. I don't believe it's personal. I think it's financial. I think it's a big financial deal. I think the market dictates that Deebo's going to get 60 to 65 to 75 in that range of guaranteed money. And I think the Niners are $30 million south of that in what they were hoping to spend guaranteed dollars on the receiver. And to me, that's just too insurmountable. And then the question is, do you even want Deebo back if you're going to insult him with like a deal that's so far beneath market value? Or what if he comes back, but he says, I'll take your beneath market value deal, but by the way, I don't want to be used as a runner. That's like one of the major
That's his
strengths of his
value.
game. Yeah, that's his
I mean,
value.
that's his whole value. I don't know if I buy that. I know that that's what people have said, that that's one of the reasons why he wants to leave, is because he
The
doesn't want to be
usage.
used in that capacity. But if you guarantee him X amount of dollars, then that takes that off the table, because
Right.
what he's saying is I don't want my career to be shortened. Well, okay, we will compensate you for your career to potentially be shortened in that way. So here's all this money. I don't know the reasons why. It could be California. I don't think it's usage. I agree with you. It always comes down to money. When guys don't say that it doesn't, it does. So if the right number came up to him, the right number hasn't been done. But you know this as well as I do, and I learned a little bit more at the Super Bowl and talking to him. Deebo doesn't completely get it. He's a smart guy. I'm not saying that, but he doesn't completely get it. And what I mean by that is George Kittle knew how the 49ers operated. They don't operate based on the pressure that you're going to give them. You'll get your deal, but you're going to have to be patient about it. Parag is brilliant how he does this. Do you see how the 49ers aren't constantly pushing contract money into future years? They don't like to do that. They like to do a contract when they're ready to do a contract. Fred Warner got his contract. Fred Warner's a mature guy out of BYU. He understood that he was going to get his money, but he had to be patient. Well, Deebo Samuel sees these guys and Devontae Adams and Tyreek Hill, and he thinks that he's as good as those guys. And he should feel that way. But he wants the money now because everybody else is getting the money, and he wants to cash in, and he's scared he's not going to get his money. The 49ers have a way that they do things, Deebo. You'll get your money. You just have to be patient. Nick Bosa's not freaking out. Now, he's got an extra fifth year because he's a first-round pick. You're a second-round pick. They came out the same year. But Deebo's got 4 years left on his deal. The 49ers do things in a deliberate manner. His agent should tell him that. But what's his agent doing? His agent's fanning the flames. His agent's getting stuff out there. That's the way they've chosen to play this thing. So I'm back to what you said about the blame game. If there's anybody to blame, and nobody wants to blame the player because they love him, but Deebo's to blame. The agent is to blame. The agent for not understanding how the 49ers operate in this situation are to blame. Deebo, it's not, we're going to take your Christmas presents away. Fred got paid. George got paid. Armstead got paid. These guys all got paid in time. They will pay you. But he wants to get paid on the heels of these other guys getting paid. And that's why I think he's trying to force his way out. He doesn't understand or want to be patient enough for the way that the 49ers operate.
This is a good comment here. He says, or he or she says, how much does Deebo's injury history impact your guys' opinion on whether to keep him or trade him? To me, it's a major factor because, I mean, you're talking about soft tissue injuries, quads, hammies, that go back to South Carolina. And here's my issue. What the bigger nightmare, people say, well, how can you advocate trading the player for picks when you don't know what the picks are going to be? That's true. That is true because they could go for 3 with these picks. But then I'm looking at the alternative. Okay, the alternative is that you pay him. But what if you pay him and he still didn't work out like he had worked out last year going into the year, and now you're paying him? Maybe you're not paying him $75 million guaranteed, John, but maybe you're giving him $55 million or $60 million guaranteed as some kind of compromise, and you're getting a Deebo that didn't work out that hard, and now he's got soft tissue injuries and he's sitting out. Your whole season is kind of sunk at that point. To me, maybe because it's football, and I just always believe that there's so few truly special guys that if you can give me 4 for 1, 3 for 1, any kind of numbers game, I got to gamble on my personnel department that if I get 4 picks or a combination of 4 players and picks, that I can turn that into something. I know there's a lot of people going, no, this didn't work with Buckner. And then, well, they may have fought. It wasn't necessarily the trade of Buckner that was bad. It was the pick of Kinlaw that was bad because Kinlaw is not the pass rusher inside that Buckner is. So it's important that they get players in the draft and hit in the draft. But to me, the injury factor is a major part of it. And I think that's why we're at this impasse, because I think the Niners are just philosophically based on this player and his injury history and how they utilize him. They don't want to pay him 65, 70 million guaranteed. And I could make a more compelling argument that the smarter play is to take the picks.
Well, again, I'll go back to what the market has done. The Packers and Chiefs, two really successful franchises,
Yeah.
decided not to pay these guys. The Raiders and the Dolphins, who haven't been successful lately, decided that they were going to pay these guys. Now, look, the position is valuable. It's become more valuable. Cooper Kupp is unstoppable. Jamar Chase was a revelation with the Bengals. Those teams were in the Super Bowl. They both had great wide receiver cores. Probably both of them are top 5 wide receiver cores. I'm not looking at a list. I'm just doing it off the top of my head. I could be wrong. It's a valuable position. I'm not saying it's not, but it's a supply and demand position. You're not going to find Deebo in the draft. I don't care. Some people are saying Burks, the kid out of Arkansas. He's not the same guy. You're not going to find that. But what you could find is a draft, as you well know. We've mentioned in the conversation you and I have had today, we've mentioned 20 wide receivers probably.
Right.
You know?
Right.
So Kyle is just going to do it a different way. So he found a running back in Elijah Mitchell in the 7th round. His dad found running backs through the years with the Broncos and never drafted one in the 1st round. Kyle will find a running back to replace Deebo who runs hard. Kyle will find receivers. They found George Kittle in the 5th round. I mean, it go on and on and on. Offense is not a problem for this team. The position is a supply and demand position. You don't think that Kansas City will find somebody to catch passes from Patrick Mahomes and be fine and score points? You don't think that Green Bay look, it's not going to be as good as Devontae Adams, but if let's say Green Bay, they get 22 and 28, they got 2 in the 2nd round. Let's say that Green Bay gets a receiver or 2 and gets a couple of really good defensive players. Green Bay is going to be a better, more rounded football team. So, look, I'm not saying that you can replace Deebo easily, and they like the mismatch because when they put him on the field, defenses don't know what they're going to do. But you can't tell me that Kyle's not going to be able to replace the guy offensively. And then, as you pointed out, if they get 10 and could get Jermaine Johnson opposite Nick Bosa, and then they get a receiver and their offense is still scoring 30 points a game, then they probably win the trade.
What the Iowa center? I mean, it's funny. I don't love studying offensive linemen, but this kid Linderbaum from Iowa is just a crazy good player. And he's got kind of shorter arms. So they're saying he's probably a guy who's going to go 15, but because of the short arms and the NFL and their, height, weight, speed, they're just so everybody's got to fit into this perfect box. He may wind up in there in the 25 to 35 range and may fall right into their lap if they got those Jets 2nd round picks. I kind of thought one of the revelations that came out in the Lynch presser, John, was when he was asked about center. He's like, well, in our system, we don't ask our center to make all the line calls and make all the shifts and all the protections, and it's not all on the center. So we feel like a young center can succeed in our offense. I thought that was a very revealing. Now, I'm not saying it's going to be Linderbaum. It could be Cam Jurgens from Nebraska or Dylan Parham from Memphis or one of these guys.
Oh, look at you go.
Yeah.
Look at you go. I love it.
But Linderbaum.
Nobody else can just rip centers off the top of my head. I mean, like quarterbacks, people can, receivers, running backs, pass rushers. We can all rip. You're going centers.
I'm showing off for you.
I love it.
But Linderbaum, though, is different. And I mean, he is really special. I mean, I don't know. I'm thinking the best centers I've ever seen, like, way back, Dave Remington, or I loved Barrett Robbins when the Raiders went to the Super Bowl. I know he didn't show up in the Super Bowl, but he was great that year.
That's Papa's fault.
Yeah, exactly.
Took him to the bar.
What is that to me? I thought was really interesting. I could definitely see them making a play for a interior offensive lineman, maybe a center, maybe early on. To me, it seemed like Lynch almost said it without saying it.
Well, he said that Alex Mack is going to make his own announcement. He didn't feel like making an announcement for him. And again, he's not going to make an announcement. He's staying. He would just stay. He's going to retire. So, look, the reason I don't agree with him in this particular instance is that you're going to have Trey Lance behind said young center. And that's a bad combination because, again, you've got to look in the division that you're playing. Well, you're playing Aaron Donald. And if you have a rookie center and a rookie quarterback and guards that you don't feel great about, that's not a good recipe to beat the Rams on the regular basis. And so, this may be a situation where that's fine. You draft one of those guys that you mentioned, or you may get a veteran guy who somebody is going to draft Linderbaum, And then whatever that team is had a center that was a veteran, and you pick that guy up for a year. Because I think Trey Lance is going to be fine, and he's one of the forgotten guys in this whole Deebo thing because their run game should be versatile next year with him, even if they don't have Deebo. But you're telling me that you're going to go? No, I don't care if it's a Linderbaum or not. You're going to have to learn in this league. It's tough to play on the inside in the NFL, and you got a rookie quarterback. You got a rookie center hiking to a rookie quarterback. I know he's in his second year, but essentially he's a rookie. I don't like that scenario.
The other rumor is Lloyd Cushenberry from Denver. Supposedly, is their Denver wants to move Cushenberry. Just Randy C 415 says Lund. Larry has no life. He knows who the center for the Jets is. Yesterday we were talking about the Jets, and I'm like, their center came up, and I'm like, I think it's like Connor McGovern or something like that. And I'm like, Ryan, look it up, and he's like, yeah, you got it right. It's Connor McGovern.
I would have thought it was still Nick Mangold. I mean,
yeah.
I barely knew who the Niners
Kevin Mawai or something like that.
Yeah, right. That's what I would have done.
Hey, we love hanging with you. We're going to let you get on with your night, but give me your quick thought on where we're at on the Garoppolo thing. We've spent so much time on Deebo and the Niners and the draft, and rightfully so, because that's kind of taking the headlines. But Jimmy still has yet to be moved. If you had told me that Deebo would get moved before Jimmy, I would have said, no way, no chance, no how. Give me your read on Garoppolo. It's pretty clear they're going with Lance, but they keep making it sound like they can afford to have Garoppolo coming back. To me, I just can't picture that. That seems like inviting the circus to town. You don't want that. What's the end game on Garoppolo? I mean, seriously, is this pimple gonna get popped on draft day, or is this thing, are we gonna still apply cream and hope that we don't pop? I mean, what's going on here with Garoppolo?
It's so amazing to me. It's like a Monty Python movie, right? I'm not dead yet. It's like, will this guy go already? I mean, I've had enough of this Jimmy conversation. Here's the thing. They can say all they want that the $25 million doesn't affect him. It does. And then the other thing is, and I knew this long before this, but I just want to give the example. We had Alex Smith on the show today.
Oh, dude, he was great.
I mean, dude, he was incredible.
That was a great segment.
He is the greatest guy ever. And the thing is even Alex Smith, the nicest guy. You and I were at Super Bowl 47, and we talked to him. Here's Kaepernick and all these guys, and they're at these podiums. And here's a guy who in the last game he played went 18 for 19, was the NFC Player of the Week, got completely robbed out of that Super Bowl, and he stood there with you and I and Papa and said, hey, I'm happy for these guys. And then he went to Kansas City, he mentored Patrick Mahomes, no problem. He's the best. But even he said, look, I couldn't have stayed because Greg was like, I wanted you to stay. I didn't care about the 2 second-round picks. They could have kept you. And he said they couldn't have kept me. He goes, they didn't, they deserved to let me go to Kansas City. I deserved a chance to start. It wasn't about that anymore. I wouldn't have been cool with it. Alex Smith said he wouldn't have been cool being behind Colin Kaepernick. Alex Smith is a tremendous mentor, a better person. And he said, I couldn't have been there the next year. Jimmy's very similar of ilk to Alex Smith in terms of the way that he has handled this situation. He can't be here. He said goodbye to us. He said flat out that he didn't want to do it again. It would be awkward. What if Trey Lance – no, not what if. Trey Lance is going to struggle. And guess where the cameras are going to go when he does? He's going to throw an interception, and the camera's going to go on Jimmy. And then there's going to be divisiveness. It's a bad situation. Jimmy's a great leader. Kittle says it. All these guys say it. Now here's Jimmy in the locker room standing around. God, we can win games with Jimmy. There he is. Beautiful as always, even in cartoon form. They cannot keep him. And if it comes down to it, I think Florio wrote this again for the millionth time on Pro Football Talk. They can cut him even if he's injured for $2 million at some point. And the only reason they're saying nice things about him, not that they don't like him, again, they're keeping leverage. If you say, God, we can't wait to trade Jimmy, then you lose it. Then you just have to release him at that point anyway because they know. So by saying, yeah, we can keep the $25 million, right? You can keep an anchor while you're sinking to the ground. You can keep an anchor on your ankle. They've got to move him, but they can't tell the NFL because, and I don't know why. I mean, if you're gonna criticize him for anything, what's Jimmy worth at this point? A 4, a 5, additional this, that, or the other? So what, man? Move on.
How about this? If you're gonna move, this is the idea I had yesterday. If you're gonna move Deebo and you're going, then you need a receiver. I don't know if I want to go rookie receiver, especially with a young quarterback. Pittsburgh's tired of Chase Claypool. Giants are tired of Kadarius Toney. What about, trying to pick up one of those former, high round receivers on the cheap? And then, because to me, Toney is really intriguing with his stop and start. I know he might be a little crazy. And Claypool showed his immaturity late in the year when he had that whole thing where he's like first down and the clock's ticking down. It's like, what are you doing? But
unreal.
I mean, Claypool opposite Ayuk and Kittle might be nice. Kadarius Toney in this offense might be nice, especially if you're going to use those picks on Jermaine Johnson and go build up your defense. I don't know, it's just an idea, but I don't think you're wrong. Do Jimmy right, send him to Pittsburgh. Let him go to a good organization. Get Claypool in a 5th round pick and get down the road and get that money off your books. And
no, I think that'd be amazing. I think that'd be amazing. He'd have to restructure his deal because Pittsburgh is already paying Trubisky a little bit. Daniel Jones is getting traded a little bit, or getting a few bucks. But Jimmy's got to want to go there. And this is where, again, through this whole process, no one's talking about this. Jimmy has to agree to this. You're not paying Jimmy $25 million. You're not keeping him. You're just maintaining your leverage. But I think you bring up a great point. If Daniel Jones falls on his face, what's their backup plan? They got Tyrod Taylor. That's not a great backup plan. If, look, Mitch Trubisky is going to fall on his face. He didn't get better watching Josh Allen through some sort of osmosis in a year in Buffalo. He's still the guy that the Bears drafted with that pick from the 49ers. He's awful. What's your backup plan there? Mason Rudolph again? No, it's not. You can't do that. So if Jimmy restructures, goes to Pittsburgh, and you can get Claypool, I wouldn't even need a pick back. I can get Claypool, and I can get him off. I can strip that money off my books and get Bosa's deal done or whatever I can do there, or I can pick up some scraps after the draft when some guys get cut, veteran players get cut. I'm all for that. I'd do that in a heartbeat.
Have you and Pop discussed? J Stamps 101 says Panthers are waiting to see him throw after he gets healthy. They'd rather have a healing Jimmy than a healthy Baker Mayfield. I do think the Panthers probably would like Jimmy, but they've got Darnold.
But the other day we got an update, right? We got an update on Jimmy the other day. He's on track. It's end of June, beginning of July. So again, the thing that this is thrown in a monkey wrench into is that the Colts probably would have looked into it. A lot of teams, he would have been gone. But how can a guy learn an offense when he can't throw? Jimmy's a smart guy, but again, something we talked about Alex Smith with today. You got to play, man. So, Trey Lance has got to play this year. He didn't get better watching. He got better from the Cardinals game where he looked like a chicken with his head cut off to the Houston game because he played. The guy's got to play. So you're trying to project Jimmy, who's been in a Kyle Shanahan-friendly offense, to the Panthers or whatever team wanted to pick him up, the Colts or the Commanders or the Steelers, any of these teams who would have picked him up, but they can't see him throw. So can you give something up if you haven't seen a guy throw?
I know.
And he's not in your offseason program, and he's not in your OTAs. And then, hey, by the way, 3 weeks before training camp, I'll throw. How are you going to look early in the season with that guy?
Last question before we say goodnight to you, and we're going to welcome in our sponsor Dan Coccimilgio, who's going to join us from parts unknown. But give me your thought on, and I kind of want to know what Greg's saying on this too. Greg always was big on Darnold, and Darnold, Carolina can't have Baker and Darnold. They can't have Darnold and Jimmy. So there's all this speculation that maybe the Niners would take Darnold. Darnold's got an $18 million guarantee, but right now Sam Darnold needs Kyle Shanahan in the worst way possible. And I just think that Darnold would be very motivated to rip up that $18 million, turn it into a 3-year deal at $6 million a year, and slate right in next to Sudfeld on that Niner depth chart behind Trey Lance, and let Kyle work his magic and be in Kyle's offense, and maybe you get a couple spot starts. I think if I'm Darnold or Darnold's agent, I'm all about doing whatever I got to do to come to San Francisco to play for Kyle behind Trey Lance. What do you think? Darnold turned it over a ton at SC. He's done it again with the Jets. He did it again last year. He started hot. I believe he was really good early when McCaffrey was there. As soon as McCaffrey went down, he was a circus. would you take Darnold and renegotiate that deal down, or do you not want to touch him? And what's Greg had to say about Darnold?
Well, he loves Darnold. He's a huge fan of Darnold. I was when he came out, but like you said, he had that game. Remember his first game of his career? I think it was in Detroit, and they won that game, and Darnold looked great, and everybody was really high on him. But like you said, he turned the ball over at USC. He turns the ball over in the pros. He's not overly accurate. He's an underrated athlete. I mean, there's some things I understand why he went where he went in that draft, but what I've seen from him both with the Jets and the Panthers. I mean, remember the one game when he said he was seeing ghosts? I mean, it's
Right.
just, I just
Against New England.
I don't see it now. I don't see it from him, and that's why. And I know we had a question earlier. We heard from their GM today, the Panthers, and he said, "Yeah, I do see a quarterback potentially in the top 10." Now, look, this is lying season, so maybe he's just lying straight through his teeth. But as we look at the top 10 in the draft, you see 3 offensive tackles in there. You see a couple of corners in there. You see, I think, 3 pass rushers if we put Jermaine Johnson with Thibodeau and Aiden Hutchinson. I guess you see 4 because then you have Trevon Walker in there. So you see 4 of those guys. And then there's room for a quarterback. Now, whether that's New Orleans moving up or Pittsburgh moving up or Carolina staying where they're staying, I could see that. But to just go back to Darnold, I think Sudfeld at this point is every bit of a prospect as Darnold. He just hasn't done it.
Yeah.
What do you think? I mean, you would know quarterbacks better than I do. I mean, I liked him coming out of SC, but man, he's been terrible.
Yeah, I'm not a Darnold guy. I just am not. I guess I could be if Kyle loved him, fine. But I'm not a Sudfeld guy either. So I don't know. To me, the guy that would make sense if they just went with Sudfeld and Trey would be Easton Stick, because Easton was with Trey at North Dakota State. They got a trust there, and I think he's got a pretty good relationship with Sudfeld. And then you got Greasy. So you want a good room, or maybe a veteran, somebody who could actually, maybe a veteran who can't even play anymore, but he can watch film and see nuances and help Trey get better. Get like the Alex Smith film study guy, if that guy is out there and exists. But I don't know. I'm open-minded as far as who that third quarterback is, because I think also they've kind of shown that they've got roster issues, and that sometimes they'll go with 2, and maybe they'll want to stay with just 2 and play that third guy as kind of maybe a rookie. I like Nick Starkel from San Jose State, and he might not even be drafted, but maybe they find a rookie.
Yeah, and I'm a big proponent when you run the style of offense that the Niners are probably run. I mean, look, they're not going to run a Lamar Jackson offense, but I think they are going to have elements of the run game in there, which scares you, because even as big as Trey Lance is, what did we see against the Cardinals? You and I talked about it from really the entire season. He took a monster amount of hits. I can't remember. Was it 16 or whatever the heck it was?
16 runs, like 9 of them were scrambles,
right.
7
and he got hit at the goal line.
Designed.
Well, look, the last running quarterback Kyle had, RG3, you got to learn quickly. And Russell Wilson and the type of guys who are able to stay around this league, they get out of bounds. They know how to run the ball and not get hurt. I would have loved to have seen Mariota. I know that ship has already sailed. He's with Atlanta. But I'd like to see a quarterback who has a similar style, so that you're not completely changing the offense for the backup quarterback.
Johnny, love you, brother. Thanks for coming on. Yeah, it was a pleasure talking to your kid a few weeks ago. You've done a good job with that kid, man.
Dude, he loved you, man. He was beaming. He's doing a piece, his senior project, and Krueg's helping him with some of it. And he came home and he's just like, "That Krueg, man, he knows his stuff." I'm like, "Dude, I'm standing right here." I mean, what? I couldn't help. He's like, "Oh no, but
Dude, you did a good job with that kid, man. He's a fine young man, and I'm sure he's going to be having a lot of fun in college next year. But thanks for stopping by. Love listening
to you, bro.
Been a huge fan for years. Keep rocking.
Love you, man.
Love, brother.
See you soon, man.
Yep. Take care. John Lund in the house, and we say goodbye to Johnny, but Johnny is awesome. So we appreciate John for stopping by. John is awesome. Love talking football with John. And we transition to Dan Coccimilgio, who joins us tonight. And Dan, Ryan was in your seats tonight, and he was just blown away by how great Dan Coccimilgio. He's like, you should see all the food options here on the what's the level that you're on there? The club level.
Yeah, we got Tony's
the club
Pizza right behind us.
Fruit, the food options on the club level. Oh my God! Thank you very much. I'm sorry that I could not make it tonight, but I would love to go later this summer. It just was with the draft and my kid playing JV ball. I couldn't make it today, but man, thank you for offering. And Ryan had a great time. So
I'm glad.
We really appreciate
I'm glad you got to enjoy it. Yeah.
What'd you think of the game?
To go to the ballpark. Oh, it was great. I mean, Flores, 2 bombs. Double off the wall, and then they roped that one into the seats in left field. What was that? 4 RBIs right there and 2 at bats.
Seriously. I was just saying to John that it's amazing how the Giants just take away Posey, take away all these hitters, bunch of guys in the DL. They just keep raking eight more runs tonight. They're just doing it night after night. It's Luis Gonzalez tonight. It's Wilmer Flores, Austin Slater hit one off the arcade against a right-handed pitcher.
Yeah,
how about that? A right-handed hitter can hit a right-handed pitcher.
That.
Who knew?
There's a lot of talk. And by the way, I got my City Connect on. It's Tuesday
I like that.
Night.
I like that. Now, is that fitted?
It is fitted. Yeah, I buy nothing but fitted. I don't like those.
Stretch fit.
A little bit. Yeah, it's a 3930 model. I like the.
You know who wears that hat around a lot? The Kahuna.
Oh yeah.
John Miller. Oftentimes, you'll see him wearing that. He loves the creamsicle orange hat.
Yeah. The only problem with mine, when I ordered it, I thought it would have the bridge on the side, and it doesn't have it. And I was disappointed. They don't make the 3930. They only make the 59, whatever they call it. And it's the bill straight, and I don't like it, and it just doesn't fit me well. So
you're too retro for the flat bill.
Yeah.
Seriously, my kid can get away with the flat bill. If you or I go flat bill, people think, something's wrong with those guys.
Yeah.
What
if
happened
I go with
to
a flat bill, I got to pull my shorts down below the knees, and kind of do
You've done too well in life to go flat bill. You know what I mean? You're a retirement specialist whose retirement is set. If you go flat bill, your retirement skills are not quite on that same level anymore.
Doesn't go too well with the clients with the baggy pants and the flat bill.
I felt like my money wasn't quite as secure after I saw the flat bill. I feel much better with the John Deere fold.
Yeah,
John Deere.
There we go. Yeah, when we were kids, you remember you took the hat. First thing you did is you got it and put it in, got it
working
all
that thing down.
Working that thing, yeah. And I remember getting my new gloves and putting the oil in it, and then I'd wrap it with 50 rubber bands, and then put it under the bed overnight, and sleep on it, so you're putting weight down on it.
I love Kruko when Kruko starts talking hats. He'd be like, "I love that John Deere fold." Krug is the best. Krug is absolutely the best.
Yeah, he's absolutely. But
no,
let's talk
Giants,
a little bit about Slater.
They're rolling right now. Go ahead. You got something on Austin Slater you want to share?
I want to talk about Slater. I've liked Slater for years. He goes to right a lot, and when Boch was managing, he was playing quite a bit every day, and he was facing right-handers, and he was for a while there hitting close to 300 back in 19, I want to say. I saw him when I was down in Arizona. I saw him play a few good games down there, and but I don't mind them not playing him when they have the lefties on the team. Slater can come in and face lefties. He just hasn't had many lefties this year. But I want to point out this because a lot of people are clamoring for Elliot Ramos. And, Ramos is going to be great, but maybe he's going to be great. We don't know that for sure.
He did have an incredible weekend against Oakland City.
I saw that.
And I don't know if you heard John Lund say before, they had Farhan on the radio, and Farhan said next time Ramos comes up, he's not necessarily here to stay, but he's not here to sit. They just wanted to get his feet wet this last time, but next time he's going to be up, he's not going to be on the bench. He's going to be either playing or he'll be on the minors, which is,
Yeah.
and that's the smart play, right?
Absolutely. He needs his at-bats. He's 22 years old, and he missed the 2020 season. I mean, he was in that, what they call that thing where the off-field, whatever they call it.
The second camp or whatever.
Yeah. I mean, that's not the same thing as, facing live game
Well, it was
pitching.
live pitching, but it wasn't major league pitching, and it was just tuning up and, inter squad games and that kind of thing. That just means he wasn't sitting at home, which is good,
Yeah. So, but I mean, he needs the seasoning. And here's the thing about what I say about Ramos is they've got Slater, and basically Ruff is their other guy. I mean, Dubon, who knows how long Dubon is on the team.
He had a great throw out at third, though. Did you see that play the other day?
Yeah, that was nice. So
it was the alternate Rebel 444 says alternate site. That's where he was.
Yeah,
he was at the alternate site.
Yeah.
Thank you, 444.
I think when it comes to, but getting back to Slater and Ramos, I don't think Ramos is going to come up and take Slater's spot as a spot starter or the guy. If Slater's hurt or he's not available, and Ruff's out, you're going to bring up Ramos when Ramos, as they said, as Cap said, going to play, or Farhan said, he's going to not come up and sit. He's going to be playing. And right now they're not going to bring him up and put him in over those guys that are seasoned major leaguers. Ramos needs to play every day.
Look who showed up.
Oh, look at that.
Guy's on top of the world because he got free tickets to the Giants game tonight from, I don't know, somebody, some guy named Dan Coccimilgio. Ryan, how was Dan Coccimilgio's seats, and how disappointed were the people around you when they didn't see Dan Coccimilgio?
Well, I got to say that I don't know if these guys are regulars, but the two people to my right were A's fans, so...
No, they're
Danny?
not regulars.
Danny?
No,
not regulars.
All right.
But
No way.
yeah, I gotta say there was quite a bit of aggro, sort of like "Let's go Oakland" chants, and
You didn't start a fight in Dan's seats or anything, did you?
No, I would never do such a thing.
Dan Coccimilgio's had season tickets for years, and they were revoked on April 26th of 2022 when he gave them mistakenly to Ryan Smith.
Just dropped my Bart card.
oh, you're on Bart.
So-
Look at you.
I'm just chilling. Yeah, I mean, look at this lighting; it's unbelievable.
Where are you at there? Oh yeah, you're in Bart there. Yeah,
He's taking Bart. Look at this.
I gotta put my readers on to see up close.
I wasn't sure if I was going to hop on or not, but I was like, you know what? I'm going to wait it out. I feel bad. I kind of blew Larry off. I got to go to the game, so.
Seriously, we disown you. Stupid dumbass sports child says, Ryan, we love you. We love Ryan. And then he says, you're beautiful, in my opinion. Oh, wow. I don't know. You're beautiful.
I mean, he is a stupid dumbass child. So.
That's right. The stupid dumbass says you're beautiful.
So what station you at? You at
where are you?
Embarcadero, yeah.
Okay.
You're all right.
And are you heading to
if
the
he was
East
at
Bay, or
Powell
are you heading to
Station,
the
he
South?
would be far more nervous looking if he was at Powell or Civic Center. The fact that he's at Embarcadero, he's keeping his head on a swivel, but he's fairly safe.
No, I'm heading back to Lafayette. My dad, it's
Lafayette.
pretty sweet. I've got where my studio setup is. My dad's place. It's right on Bart in Lafayette, so I'll be able to cruise right in and sneak in the back door. And
you just kind of
a late arriving crowd tonight, huh? Wasn't it? It seemed like at first pitch, it didn't seem like a lot of people in the stands. In fact, the Dave Cavill was tweeting about it. Poor Dave Cavill hasn't seen that many people in one place in years.
So wait. Since this is late in the stream, no one's really monitoring this. So I actually tried. The original guy that was going to go with me is Dave Cavill's assistant.
Really?
Yeah.
You're tied to Cavs? What? You're going to bring Cavs' assistant to Coach Emilio's seats? I'm not sure if that's going to fly. I mean, Danny's already running you.
he couldn't come because they had like some Zoom with like the mayor's office or something like that.
Yeah, sure. The mayor of Las Vegas or the mayor of
Yeah.
Oakland?
Hey, it wasn't technically specified.
Yeah. So
Get
when
him fired.
you catch Bart, let me do a little Bart guy here. Let's say, okay, so Arinda.
Oh, you're about to hear
stop. Lafayette.
Danny does impressions. Danny's doing impressions.
Hey.
So what time's your train going to show up? I mean, how many minutes before you're going to have to get on there?
Ooh, I can't. This is.
You have no idea. You're just hoping.
I don't know. It says JKM.
How many? Oh, wait a second. Wait, no, don't go. Make sure you're going the right way. Otherwise, you're going to wind up in the Sunset District, or you're going to wind up out by the airport. You don't want you don't care what letter it is, as long as you're going towards inbound. You want to be going inbound towards the Embarcadero, or you're Embarcadero. You want to be going. Right? Did you say you want to be going to? You want to be going
Fremont or not Fremont?
Embarcadero is the last city stop.
Hayward, right? Toward the Hayward,
not Hayward
train. Well, doesn't it connect at MacArthur or somewhere or 19th? I can't remember.
I don't know my BART. I'm not.
Look at this new BART map. There's letters, and I'm confused, frankly.
Maybe you could find a nice young lady that could point you in the right direction. At 11:24 on a Tuesday night. Hey, Ryan. What would you say as far as if you had to estimate how many A's fans were in the house tonight? What would you estimate? Because they've been drawing literally friends and family for the entire year so far.
I know. I'd say probably 1 in 5.
1 in 5 A's
people,
fans.
maybe.
So
more than show up at the Coliseum.
6,000 or 7,000, maybe.
Yeah,
that's more than 3 games that show up at the.
Yeah, exactly. It's half price night at the Coliseum.
Yeah, they were aggro, man. Not as many in the club level.
They bring. What do you think of the food at the club level? Living right, Danny Coccimilgio.
Oh, they had like a carving station.
Down there in the left field line.
Look at you! Look at you!
Brisket,
baby. Briskets. Yeah.
Oh, look at you!
Yeah, every game.
You're not afraid. You're not afraid. You put it on layaway, pay half now, half later, or
exactly.
you buy the thing outright. Stock options.
Yeah, I just took out a loan.
Purchase that thing? Did you consider the crab sandwich?
Too far.
Honestly, once I made it up, I was a little bit confused on how to get up to the club level. It's like that Alaska Airlines thing, and so like once I was up there, I'm like, I'm not leaving. I feel like if I wander out to get a crab sandwich, I may not be able to come back.
Danny just told us that the crab sandwich is a great distance anyway. Yeah, the carvery is pretty good. I can go turkey, I can go pastrami, but man, the brisket. How do you not go brisket? And do you go heavy? What's it called? What's the spicy stuff that makes your nose? Just horseradish.
Horseradish?
Did you go horseradish?
Yeah. Gotta go horseradish. Ooh. And the thing that sucks though is because of my elbow, I'm back on freaking more antibiotics. So
Let's see that elbow. Can we see that elbow?
Let's see.
Let's see that.
It's actually what'd you do to the elbow?
Yeah, let Dr. Coccimilgio take a look at the elbow.
Let me take a.
It's still a little red. I mean. Yeah, it's been like 15 days, so they're a little concerned.
And that's herpes simplex 47?
Yeah, it's the new herpes, mega herpes.
It's syphilis, but you're getting rid of it. It's just a touch of the syphilis.
A dusting of syphilis.
So what is that exactly? Is that cellulitis? Or what was it? Bursitis?
It's MRSA. It's MRSA. Well, it started
out
as
joint.
bursitis, and it was
Oh, my goodness. That's the worst sounding thing I've ever heard.
Would you get that were you in the hospital for something? Did you get that?
Yeah, how'd you get the elbow?
Honestly, so the only thing I can think of is I did go to like my one time where I really kind of tied one on during quarantine was I met up with a bunch of college buddies, and I gotta say I got pretty drunk and I may have taken a few tumbles, and I did have like a little bit of a scratch on my elbow. That's the only thing I can think of. And like two weeks later, all of a sudden the thing ballooned to like the size of a grapefruit.
Wow. And you took all the antibiotics. Did you get more antibiotics?
Name drop. You know who told me to go? That I had to go to the doctor was Dr. Drew.
Really?
Yeah,
Really,
I
Dr.
texted
Drew?
him. I sent him a picture of my elbow, and I was like, "What are we thinking here? Like, do I have to like go in?" He was like, "Well," and he actually called it septic bursitis.
Wow, look at
I
that.
had that as a kid.
Really?
Got that in 7th grade, playing basketball in CYO League at St. Agnes in Concord. Guy was driving down for a layup. I came up from behind. I smoked it off the backboard, blocked it, and came flying down on my elbow. Next day, it was like a softball.
It's a Coccimilgio special right there.
Big
blocking
sack.
shots, running the floor. When was the last time you played full court?
Oh man.
Here's a better
question.
Well,
I have 3 games to referee Saturday. They're full court. So
nice. Oh, you're a ref.
Yeah.
Wait, we're talking CYO basketball?
Well, that was back in 1973, something like that, 74.
It's a good year for the
Knicks. Way
Knicks.
before your time, Ryan. Way before your time.
Yeah, 73. He's like, oh yeah, that was right when the Constitution was being signed. Ryan, we'll let you go with your, if you had a better elbow, we'd keep you around. But, with the bum elbow, I just feel like you're weighing the show down. So safe travels back to Orinda, the mean streets of Orinda. It's amazing what you've made of yourself after getting out of Orinda. They said you'd never get out. You found your way out. You battled your way out of Orinda, the mean streets, and somehow you made something of yourself. And you're a testament to I don't know what, but
did you go to Acalani's in Lafayette?
Camp Lindo. I was a Camp Lindo guy.
Oh, okay.
Camp Lindo.
Yeah.
Okay, Camp
I grew up in Moraga. Parents divorced. Mom lives in Orinda. Dad lives in Lafayette now.
Okay. So. All right.
It's amazing what you've become against all odds. You beat the odds.
Check out my brother's yogurt shack in Lafayette there.
What's it called, Danny?
Love Yogurt Shack.
Yeah, that's my brother owns that.
What's it called?
The yogurt
Coccimilgio yogurt?
No,
yeah,
the yogurt shack.
I hear someone say Yogurt Shack sponsor. Yeah, I love going in Danville too.
Yeah, Danville.
This is Larry Krueger for the Yogurt Shack.
Danville, Concord, and Lafayette. Yeah, all 3 of them.
Do you know how much I love bobola or boobala or whatever? What's that stuff they put in the bottom of the boba? Boba. The boba from the Yogurt Shack is absolutely second to none. You're not going to find better boba anywhere. Come to Orinda and have this yogurt. All right, Lafayette. This is your train. We'll see you, kid. We'll see you tomorrow. Safe travels. It's amazing what that kid's been able to accomplish. Danny, let's. Somebody's asking, how is the Gotham Club? Have you been to the Gotham Club? Are you a Gotham Club guy?
I haven't been in there, actually.
You haven't?
No.
I haven't either. Yeah. Marty's like a regular in the Gotham.
Yeah.
I gotta get some connects.
I'll have to go in there.
Start hanging with Marty.
Yeah, I'll have to go in there. We should in June. I'll be back up for some games in June. I don't think I'll make it up in May, but we should go. I have access to get more tickets too from the Giants, so maybe we can get 4 tickets or something. Go have some fun at the ball game.
Go get stinking drunk and pass out in a bush. Throw open a bag.
Hey, I got stories, man. I got mugged at Candlestick Park going to I was 7th or 8th grade.
You got mugged in the 7th grade at the Stick?
Yeah, what happened is it was a Monday night game.
All right.
49ers were playing the Rams. Gosh, who was the quarterback on the 40? It wasn't
Jeff Kavanaugh?
No, it was
Jeff Kemp? Jeff Kemp?
No, it was way before him. It was
you said what year?
The 70s. Early
DeBerg?
No.
Steve DeBerg?
They weren't even good. I was in the junior 49er.
Steve Spurrier?
No, it was after Spurrier, after
Brody.
Oh gosh, it was a long time.
There's some lean years there, man. There were some lean years there.
he moved around quite a bit. He was with several teams. He was a journeyman quarterback, and I can't remember his name now. But anyway, I'm going to the game, and so my friend is I think we were in 7th grade, and his dad's taking him, but he says, I'll give you a ride. Another friend of mine and I, we had 2 tickets. He says, I'll give you a ride. My friend's dad says, but I need a note from your mom or dad that says it's okay for me to take you and that, I'm not responsible.
How old were you?
Thinking, I was 13, 14, something like that.
Yeah.
So we go, and then we go separate ways once we leave the parking lot, and we're running over to the section that gets you in the junior 49er minor club. And I'm like, those little shacks that are outside that were outside Candlestick. They had those
shacks. No, I don't.
They were just in the parking lot, just up by the stadium. They were kind of different structures. I don't even know what they were. But anyway, I ran behind one.
It was the 70s, so anything,
I was trying to cut through.
They may not have been there.
It was a 6 o'clock start, and I was rushing. And I can't even remember. It might have been dark by then because it was, I think it was in November or something like that. Anyway, 4 guys, they just stopped me from behind this building, and they each went into a pocket. I had $4 on me, 4 ones, and that was a lot of money back then. And they
were you scarred by it?
I was okay. I mean, it was just I was scared. Because I didn't know if they were going to pull a knife on me or what. But anyway, I go crying my way into the security guard, and I was just like, I got my ticket stolen. Guy just goes, come on in. So I got in, but that was an interesting.
It made
time.
You the man that you are today.
Yes,
Danny,
yes.
We're right at the end of the show, and this is normally where I would come in and do the Dan Coccimilgio sponsorship. Let me get rid of the comment there, so now we can sitting over to the top of the screen. But we have you here, so since we haven't done the spot yet, why don't you tell people? I mean, tell people about what your business. Danny is not just our friend. He's one of the sponsors of the Krueg Show, and we appreciate him being a sponsor. SecureMoney.com is the website, and 925-628-9966 is Dan's number. He's a retirement planning specialist who's sponsoring our show. And Dan, if people go to SecureMoney.com, what will they find if they give you a call at your 925-628-9966 number? What will that experience be like? What is the process for people who are sitting there going, you know what, I need to get my retirement planning in order. I've been putting it off. I'm now a big fan of the Krueg Show. I'm going to give Danny Coccimilgio a chance to sit down and plan my retirement. What are those sessions like? What kind of process, what kind of experience will it be?
Yeah, it's very, very easy going. We're just going to sit and chat, find out what your goals are, what your tolerance level is for your risk level, you might say, in the market. If you're looking
develop a strategy of some kind that fits their strategy.
Find out what your goals are, what your, basically a financial interview of just knowing what you have, what you're looking to do.
Yeah.
And I'm the kind of guy that is just going to shoot straight. And I'll tell you, a lot of people think I'm crazy, but when I say, hey, friends of mine say, oh, you could have got more of their money, invested more. You should have went for it all. And I says, that's not the right thing to do. You got to do what's right for people, because what I do is long-term investing. Okay. Products that generally are 7 years, 10 years long, but because they're long-term, they're safe, they're guaranteed. So there's things you don't want to tie up all of your assets into, because frankly, you're stuck in it for 7 to 10 years. But
you want better flexibility.
Yeah, so we develop a plan where you have liquid assets for your emergency use, but for those long-term things, most of my clients, what they're looking to do is just have that money safe so that 5, 10, 15 years down the line, when they think they're going to need it for income or in retirement, that they know it's going to be there. They're not going to lose. The products are guaranteed. In some cases, you're going to be able to get as high as a 10% bonus. So if you had $20,000, they're going to give you 2,000. So you're going to start off with 22. I had a guy the other day, $1 million he invested, 100 grand bonus. So you're looking at 1.1 million as opposed to $1 million starting off. And he had lost some money in the market, and he was tired of losing, and he was in his late 60s, and he just said, I'm tired of this losing. I want to know that my money is secure for the rest of my life. So that's what we do.
Well, 925-628-9966, securemoney.com. And you've been doing this. This is not your first rodeo, so to speak. You've been doing this for decades, right? What was your
25 years?
Yeah, 25 years. So there's a lot of experience there, and it's not a one size fits all type situation. Dan will sit down with you, talk about your goals, and develop a strategy that fits. Not everybody's strategy is going to fit everybody's portfolio, and there's nuance to a lot of this. And Danny will sit down with you. He'll go through it. 925-628-9966, securemoney.com on the web. And we really do appreciate you sponsoring the show. And then, of course, let's also mention our other sponsor, Telmetrics.co. If you're an orthopedic surgeon or an occupational therapist, if you're a chiropractor or a physical therapist, Telmetrics.co is designed for you to use in your practice and will greatly benefit your patients. Telmetrics uses computer vision and artificial intelligence and provides a platform for outpatient rehab therapy services, both in the clinical and telehealth environments. Using Telmetrics can improve your patient's experience and much more. So for all your sports injury needs, if you're a physical rehabilitation specialist, make sure you go to their website, telmetrics.co. That's TELMETRIX.co, not .com, Telmetrics.co. And thanks to Casey Bateman and all the good people at Telmetrics for being a proud sponsor of the Krueg Show. Danny, we'll give you final thought on this one. We still got a lot of people hanging out in the chat room. A lot of people. We talked a lot about the Niners tonight. We started off talking Giants out of the game, talked Giants for about 30, 40 minutes, then kind of segued into some Niner talk with the draft approaching and the Deebo rumors. And then Johnny left, and we transitioned to you, and now a little bit of Ryan on his way home. But why don't we give you the final word on whatever direction you want to take it here in this final couple minutes of the show? Whether it be Deebo, the Warriors going tomorrow night trying to put away the Nuggets, or the Giants' hot start. I mean, at this point, I don't even know if I would call it a hot start. It just kind of is what it is. This is who they are. But give me your perspective. You've been watching baseball for years and watching this team. Give me your perspective on where they're at right now, because it's really I don't want to say it's amazing, but it's surprising to me that they have had this kind of offense, despite the fact they're without a lot of key offensive figures.
Yeah. Well, you got to give credit to the coaching staff as well, because their guys are buying into these analytics and studying. When I was down in spring training the first year that Posey was, I think it was 2020. And right before, the pandemic hit and they canceled everything. But I was there before the games were being played, and I was watching these guys watching on their, tablets, belt behind, I was talking to Brandon, and they were all looking at these tablets, and their coaches were going over, and this was just guys pitching, getting loose on the mound, and they're taking BP, but they're studying that. So what I think is these guys is going up there with an approach and a zone to look for, and their pitch to hit, get ahead in the count, and they're looking to drive the ball. And what I like about Gonzalez, and I know I brought him up a couple times, but I watched him again tonight, just slap one in to center field. He just took a short, compact stroke. I think it was 2 strikes on him, and he did not try to take. The thing I have a problem with Duggar's constantly taking this big sweeping swing and missing the ball sometimes by, it looks like, 2 feet.
Yeah.
Gonzalez, he's going to have his moments where he's not going to be successful, but overall, this guy looks like a real hitter. And I like the kid. He can play all 3 outfield positions. I think he's 26. Man, they're playing well. They are pitching great. They've been in every game. I mean, even the 5 losses. What was the worst loss? 2 or 3 runs to the Mets? 5.
I was going to say, have they been blown out yet this year?
No, they haven't been blown out yet.
Yeah.
I mean, it'll happen.
They're in every game.
So far, 18 games. They're 13-5. They're ahead of last year's pace. And
what did you think of Jock Peterson last night?
Oh my goodness, that was just
wasn't
epic.
That awesome?
That was just the best. I mean, turns around, looks at the guy, and then just.
Did you hear what he called him?
Oh yeah, I heard it. Yeah. I heard the little 9-second clip on Twitter today.
Yeah, you let him have an earful. But you know what? These fans, you're going to talk a lot of mess. That guy's hot, hit 2 home runs the day before. You're going to talk S to Jock Peterson. And then for him, 2 pitches later to park one off the board and turn to the fan. And then he's crossing first base. He's like giving the Superman.
I'll tell you,
that was awesome, man.
It'll rile you up. I mean, I heard Johnny say, you're a professional athlete and, what maybe you don't need that motivation. But sometimes it does. I can remember playing Babe Ruth ball, and I was 15, and I was on the mound. And, back then in the mid-'70s, John the Count Montefusco was my guy. So I thought I was acting like the Count, and we were on a team, and we weren't that good. And believe it or not, I had to play on the A's and wear those yellow jerseys as my team. And but these guys were giving me crap over in the other dugout, and they were just getting all over me. So I just went for the next guy's head.
Headhunter Coccimilgio.
I wouldn't do it today. I've matured a little bit, but it got me a little riled up. And
that's at securemoney.com.
But, sometimes you get a little amped up and you want to take it to people. And, I used to officiate high school basketball games. And I can tell you when coaches.
What league? Were you WCAL, AAA?
I was down in Southern California during that time. Yeah.
Gotcha.
But I did high school. I did some varsity ball, and it was fun. But when a coach rides you, and you tell him to be quiet, human nature sometimes is kind of like, that one's not going to go your way, buddy. You try and do it right, but they get in they mess with you. But yeah, final words on where the Giants are at. I like where they're at. I don't even think they're playing their best ball yet, and they're winning, and it's because of the pitching is keeping them in every game. So I'm really excited about this year. As far as basketball goes, I think the Warriors finish off Denver pretty handily tomorrow. And I was a little irritated earlier tonight because the T-Wolves they were up with like a minute and a half to go. They were ahead of Memphis. And I was thinking, and then Memphis hits a 3 to put them up. And then
how about Brandon Clark from Memphis? 21 and 15. My goodness, Brandon Clark. I mean,
I was just thinking, Minnesota could force a game 7, and then anything can happen in a game 7. I mean, Minnesota is playing these guys very tough, but they're so young and they do just like dumb things at the most inopportune times. So they don't play with any poise. But that was what I was hoping to see is Minnesota. Want to see Minnesota win the series in 7 and go in. The Warriors then would have the home court advantage for that series. And that would be great. And then, of course, it'd be great to see the Suns get knocked off and the Warriors,
Yeah, that might be a little. I don't think something tells me the Suns are not going to get knocked off.
Well, I don't think they'll get knocked off by the Pelicans.
But Devin Booker's not healthy.
Yeah, but if
Really?
Booker's not healthy and they play Dallas, Dallas could give them a run.
Dallas is playing well now that Luke is back, for sure.
And then,
all right, good stuff, Danny.
Yeah.
We're going to get out of here. Let's tease tomorrow. Big Wednesday on the Krueg show. So tomorrow we've got Game 5 Warriors Nuggets. We'll be coming to you afterwards with Cyrus Satsis. A's play the Giants tomorrow night. So we really A's Giants at the exact same time as Warriors Nuggets. So tomorrow night we'll do a combined post game. And Danny, we'd love to see you back. Cyrus will be with us talking Warriors. We'll see if his eyelids are at full staff or half staff. Vish Kumaran tomorrow at noon is going to stop by and talk a little bit about the draft and Deebo. We'll talk a lot of Niners. Yeah. I'll be joining Grant Cohn tomorrow at 3:00 on his channel. So a big Wednesday coming up on the show. We need to tell people, be sure that you hit the like and subscribe button. Be extra sure that you hit that notification bell so you can, catch all the upcoming Krueg shows. I'm loving this, man. I'm having a great time. I love all the people involved with this. I'm having a lot of fun. Thanks for supporting my channel, The Krueg Show. Thanks to Len. Thanks to Ryan. Thanks to guys like Dan Coccimilgio and Casey Bateman, our sponsors right now on The Krueg Show. And thanks to all of you. We've had donations. We've had a lot of people in the chats. We've had a lot of great comments. And I really do, I don't get a we've taken some video calls. We didn't take them tonight, but we will in the shows ahead. But we're just having a ton of fun. We're talking a lot of Giants. We're talking a lot of Niners. We're talking a lot of Warrior playoffs. We're talking about the draft. And we'll be doing a lot of stuff this weekend. I'll be introducing my youngest son to the Krueg Show. He's going to join me at some point this weekend on the air for a little NFL draft talk. He's fired up. He's already getting ready. So he's like, Dad, I'm ready. I'm ready, Dad. I'm ready. So
you got does he have his list out and he's got the checklist of all the players? And
exactly.
Going to go into the draft board, or is this after the draft or before?
What we're going to do is we're just going to watch the draft on Thursday night, and then halfway through the first round we'll do a little short video kind of recapping the draft, the first half of round 1. Then we'll recap the second half of round 1 and what the Niners did after the draft and after I'm done on Channel 7. I'm going to be on Channel 7 on Thursday night doing a little hit with ABC. And then Friday, 4:30 to 7:30 is the draft. And at the end of the second round, we'll do a recap of the second round. At the end of the third round, my son and I will do a little recap of the third round. And then we'll do that on Saturday as well when every round goes by. And then, maybe even, kind of go, we might even, wind up trying to talk a lot of Niners, obviously depending on who they take and, what do they make trades? Do they trade Deebo? Do they trade for anybody? So there's a lot that potentially could happen.
There was a pretty interesting comment earlier in the comment section tonight, and I don't know if you saw it, but
what did it say?
I thought it was pretty interesting. They said, what do you think of Deebo to Carolina for the 6th pick and Brian Burns? Would that be enough? Would you do that one?
The 6th pick is an awfully high pick, and you could always trade back a bunch. So anytime you wind up with a 6th pick or a top 10 pick, I mean, you could theoretically make 3 trades and get down into what I consider the sweet spot in this draft, which is 25 to 40. If you can get in that range, you might be able to pick up 3 or 4 picks along the way as you move down the board. So I'd be up for that. I mean, Brian Burns is exactly the kind of pass rusher you want opposite Nick Bosa.
Yeah.
Could you imagine Bosa and Burns? I mean, the Niners traded a 2nd-round pick for D Ford. They got one good year out of D Ford, and they went to the Super Bowl. And then D Ford fell apart physically. If they could add a Brian Burns, he could be better than what D Ford was. Or if they can go in this draft and add a Jermaine Johnson the 2nd out of Florida State, he could be better than what D Ford gave them. So I think this is a really exciting weekend for the 49ers. I do think they're going to if they trade Deebo, I think they're going to draft with those picks probably a running back, maybe a receiver, maybe a pass rusher, and I could see them bolstering their offensive line. But it's going to be interesting. It's going to be really, really interesting.
I think that would make Carolina pretty interesting with Deebo and McCaffrey. I mean, look at all the things you could do with that offense.
Oh, absolutely. You got Deebo and McCaffrey and Terrace Marshall and, Tommy Tremble. And, Carolina's got some nice weapons there if they could add Deebo. And how popular would that be to bring a guy who played at South Carolina? You bring him to Charlotte, where, there's got a lot of his fans are right there. Yeah, I mean, I think the Jets are the team, though, Dan, because the Jets are so desperate and they're so relatively rich that I think it's a better fit for the Jets. But we'll see. We'll see. I'll say this. I definitely think Deebo is traded Thursday night.
Yeah, I think you're right. I mean, it's leaning that way. It sure looks just too much. Where there's smoke, there's fire, right?
What's your night like tomorrow night? You got time to stop by the post game tomorrow night? A little combo Warriors Giants tomorrow night.
I'll be watching the both games. Yeah.
All right, brother.
Yeah.
Good stuff.
All right.
Have a good night. Thanks to everybody.
Great.
See you tomorrow. Peace out.
Okay.
Never met a man I've been scared of. Careful, you won't get exactly what you asked for. Here for whatever you bring me, getting handled. I answer to no one, I don't need to hassle. We ain't never far.